Beep, beep, beep. Ugh, beep, beep, beep. A young man groaned as the blaring alarm pierced through the silence of his room. Slowly, he cracked open one eye, only his right. His left eye remained swollen shut, throbbing with pain from a fight the day before. Damn it, Leo muttered, dragging himself up with a wince. That bastard didn't pull his punches this time. His vision swam for a second before focusing on the alarm clock. 7:15 a.m. His eyes widened. Shit, I'm gonna be late. Panic kicking in, Leo sprang out of bed, throwing on his black and white uniform in record time. He didn't bother with his usual morning routine. No brushing, no shower, just pure survival instinct. The usually bustling hallways were empty as he sprinted through them, straightening his hair and adjusting his collar as he ran. He didn't notice the whispers. Wait, was that Leo? No way. He's supposed to be dead, right? Maybe it's someone who looks like him. Everyone who saw him stopped in their tracks, wide-eyed, uncertain. The dead don't just walk through school corridors. But Leo didn't hear a word. He only had one mission: don't be late. He reached the university's grand staircase, lungs burning, legs aching. At the top, he glanced at his watch. 3 minutes to spare. A grin tugged at his lips until a hand grabbed the back of his collar, yanking him to a stop. Leo gasped, nearly choking. What the hell? Are you trying to kill me? He spun around, ready to unleash his anger, until he saw her. Miss Camille, tall, composed, a dark beauty with long, silky black hair and piercing violet eyes. She wore a crisp lab coat over her uniform, 4 Seasons school nurse and medic. Miss Camille, Leo blinked. I'm sorry, I know I'm late. If it's important, can we talk after the exam? He turned to leave, but her grip didn't loosen. Why are you doing this? Leo asked, baffled. If I offended you, I'm sorry. I'll clean the infirmary for a week. Just let me go. I really can't miss this exam. There was a long pause before she finally spoke, her voice low, uncertain. Are you really Leo? Leo froze. Huh, of course I'm Leo. What kind of question is that? But Miss Camille's face remained tense, conflicted. Follow me, she said firmly. Before he could protest, she started dragging him away, still gripping his collar like a leash. Wait, this isn't the way to the classroom. Leo flailed. What about my exam? There is no exam today, she said. Leo blinked. What? No way. Did I miss a whole day? Did I sleep through it? Camille said nothing, pulling him all the way to the infirmary. Once inside, she locked the door behind them. Stand still. What? Leo was caught off guard. Then, without warning, Miss Camille began stripping him down to his underwear. Wait. Miss Camille, what are you doing? She circled him, silently inspecting his body. It was awkward, deeply awkward, but he trusted her at least enough to not yell. You have the same build, the same voice, even the same face, she murmured. That's because I am Leo, he replied, frustrated. No, you're not. Leo blinked. You look like him, she continued, but your body's too ordinary. The Leo the first knew was battle-hardened, his frame lean but reinforced. You speak like him, but you don't talk like him. Then her voice grew cold. And most importantly, Leo is dead. He died 3 months ago. Leo's breath caught. What? He laughed nervously. Okay, Miss Camille, that's a good one. I didn't think you were the type to joke. But she wasn't smiling. Seriously, he asked. Did you drink before work? Her gaze sharpened. Who are you? Or what are you? Why do you look and sound like Leo? Leo stared blankly. He had no idea what to say. Tell me about yourself, she demanded. Huh, pretend this is our first meeting. Speak. He hesitated, then gave in. My name's Leo. I'm 18. I skipped a few grades. My birthday's January 1st. I like fiction and mystery novels. I love spicy food. I hate sour things. I got into 4 Seasons University with a perfect exam score, but I've made 0 friends since arriving. Everyone looks down on me because I'm from a common family. He exhaled. That's it. What else do you want? Do you remember how we met? She asked. Yeah. You patched me up after Adam and his gang jumped me. Camille went quiet again. Then, she shook her head. This isn't 4 Seasons University. It's called 4 Witches Academy. And in this world, Leo had plenty of friends. No one dared bully him. Leo's face turned pale. What? She studied his expression, then nodded to herself. You're not my Leo, but you're Leo, just not from this world. The only explanation is that you've somehow crossed over from a parallel universe. A world where magic doesn't exist. Leo blinked. She's crazy. She's completely insane, he muttered to himself. Camille stepped forward. I know it sounds crazy, but let me show you the truth. She raised her hand, and a gentle glow radiated from her palm. Wait, is that? Heal. A warm sensation washed over Leo's face. His swollen eye throbbed, then dulled, then disappeared entirely. She lowered her hand. Go check the mirror. Leo stumbled to the sink. What he saw stunned him. His injury was gone, like it had never existed. How'd you do that? He turned around, wide-eyed. I assume magic doesn't exist in your world, Camille said calmly, conjuring a glowing orb above her palm, which makes this easier to explain. Magic, Leo repeated, awestruck. Yes, this is the world you're in now. Can I touch it? Go ahead. Leo reached out. The orb passed through his fingers like mist, but radiated a warm, soothing energy. After a long pause, he looked up. How'd I get here? Can I go back? Camille shook her head. I don't know how you arrived, but since magic doesn't exist in your world, someone here must have summoned you. Unfortunately, I don't know how to send you back. Leo rubbed his temples. What am I supposed to do then? Live here until you find a way back, she said casually. But I'm supposed to be dead here, right? Won't that cause issues? Leo's body was never found. We can claim you survived. Leave everything to me. Leo nodded, sighing in defeat. Thanks, Miss Camille. How close were you with your Leo? He asked. She paused, then replied softly. He was a lot of trouble, always getting hurt, always needing my help. But we became close over time, though I wouldn't call us friends. I was more of a mentor. Leo smiled. Sound just like the Camille I knew. I'm glad you're still you. She stared at him quietly. If you want to survive here, she finally said, you'll need to understand this world first. Leo nodded seriously, but he had no idea just how dangerous and magical this new world would be. Take a seat. Miss Camille gestured to one of the infirmary beds. Leo sat down instinctively, choosing the one closest to the window. Miss Camille noticed this with a flicker of emotion. It was the same bed the previous Leo had always chosen. Suppressing a sigh, she began, let's start with the basics. As you just witnessed, this world operates on magic. That's possible because of mana, an energy that exists in the air and fuels all magical abilities. To use magic, you have to convert ambient mana into your own internal energy. Leo's eyes lit up. Wait, does that mean I can use magic too? Miss Camille paused, studying his eager face. Probably not. What? His heart sank instantly. Why not? Not everyone is born with the ability to manipulate mana, she explained calmly. Even here, in a world shaped by magic, around 60% of the population are incapable of using it. And you, someone from a world without magic at all, it's highly unlikely. She paused, then added, the Leo who lived here, he couldn't use magic either. Leo slumped back on the bed, disappointment washing over him. That sucks. I've dreamed of casting spells since I was a kid. Maybe I do want to go home after all. Camille glanced at him and said, even if you can't use magic, you're not helpless. There are magical artifacts, tools imbued with mana and spells. The previous Leo relied on them heavily, but they're expensive and fragile, so use them wisely. She stepped closer, her tone more serious. But before we go any further, there's something else you need to know, something far more dangerous than magic. Leo tilted his head. What's worse than magic? Vampires. His eyes widened. Why, you mean like the blood-sucking kind? Miss Camille raised an eyebrow. So vampires exist in your world too? Well, yeah, but only in stories. In this world, they're very real, she said flatly. They look human, but have distinct features. White hair and red eyes. And while they don't drink blood, they feed on mana, draining it straight from a person's body. Leo gulped. What happens if someone loses all their mana? They die. Slowly. Painfully. Do people without magic have anything to worry about then? He asked hopefully. No one is exempt. Even those who can't use magic still have mana inside them. If a vampire decides to drain you, it's over. Leo raised a trembling hand. Okay, but do these vampires just wander around? Like, are they outside right now? Most major cities are protected by barriers that repel vampires. But nothing is perfect. Occasionally, they slip through. So basically, stay inside and I should be fine. Exactly. Any questions? Leo exhaled deeply. So many. You can save them. Let's move on to your situation. Camille folded her arms. As I told you before, you're dead in this world. Or rather, the version of you that lived here is. But since his body was never recovered, we can spin a story. For now on, you've survived, but suffer from amnesia. No one needs to know you're from another world. Leo blinked. Why not? I mean, couldn't someone help me if they knew? Miss Camille narrowed her eyes. Do you want to spend the rest of your life in a lab? No. Then keep your origin a secret. From everyone, even those you trust. Understood. Leo nodded solemnly. Yes, ma'am. Now then, do you have any combat experience? Leo scratched his cheek. I've thrown a few punches in school fights, but that's about it. Then you'll need training. If you want to survive or remain enrolled, you'll have to learn to fight. The previous Leo specialized with the sword. You'll start there too. Leo perked up. What about magic? I know it's unlikely, but can we at least try? Camille sighed. Fine. But even if you can, you'll have to hide it. If someone sees you casting spells, they'll start asking questions. Magic artifacts could be used as cover, but that's a problem for later. Got it. Leo nodded. And one more thing. People remember Leo as calm, calculated, cold even. You are not that. He offered her a small, sincere smile. Miss Camille stared at him, her expression unreadable. After a long pause, she said, Are you ready to come back from the dead? Miss Camille led him through the school's long, polished corridors until they reached the 3rd floor. Home to the headmistress's office. Wait, isn't this the principal's office from before? Leo thought as she knocked on the door. Headmistress. It's me. A calm female voice replied. Enter. They stepped inside. At the far end of the room sat a stunning woman with long crimson hair behind a grand desk. Her presence was commanding, almost oppressive. The moment her gaze landed on Leo, her entire body froze. Hey, headmistress, before you get all sear, Leo. She slammed her hands on the desk, the entire room trembling from the impact. Leo took a nervous step back. She's way scarier than the headmistress from my world. The headmistress rushed over and grabbed his face, tugging at his cheeks in disbelief. Ow, that hurts. Please calm down, Camille interjected, gently stepping between them. The headmistress scowled. Camille, what's going on? Why is Leo here? If you'd let me explain instead of shouting, Camille said dryly, you'd know that this is Leo. That's impossible. Leo's been dead for 3 months. Camille continued, calm and firm. We thought he died, but he survived, somehow. I found him wandering in front of the academy this morning. The headmistress stared at Leo with wide eyes. Leo, what happened? Where have you been all this time? He doesn't remember, Camille said. He's lost most of his memories. No way. The headmistress staggered backward and slumped into her chair. Wait, what about his combat abilities? Can he still fight? Unfortunately, no. The headmistress frowned deeply. Maybe if we use memory magic. I've already tried, Camille interrupted. There's nothing we can do for now. What a disaster, the headmistress sighed. Despite his lack of magic, Leo was one of our best. He killed vampires, Camille. Our strength dropped the moment he vanished. Then, her tone shifted with renewed resolve. But all isn't lost. If we retrain him, that strength can return. And when his memories come back, he may become even stronger. Leo looked helplessly at Camille, who only shook her head in silence. I'm doomed, Leo sighed inwardly. Headmistress, Camille said, may I oversee his training personally? What about your work as a nurse? I'll train him after school hours. Are you sure? As long as I'm compensated. The headmistress gave a weary smile. You'll be paid. That's the least I can do. Camille nodded. Then I'll handle it. Very well. If anything comes up, you know where to find me. As I left the office, Leo whispered, "So what now?" "Now," Camille said flatly, "you go to class." "Magic class." "No." The old Leo couldn't use magic, remember? You only took general education courses. Leo sighed in relief. "Thank goodness. At least I won't fail." "Why are you looking at me like that?" he muttered after seeing her skeptical face. They arrived at a classroom on the second floor. Camille knocked on the door. After a moment, it opened to reveal a beautiful blonde woman in a white cheongsam. "Camille? What?" She froze when her eyes landed on the boy standing behind her. Her lips parted. "LL Leo."
Hey, everyone. If you enjoy my quantum audiobooks, you can support me by becoming a Patreon member. Your support helps me keep creating, and you'll get exclusive perks. You can also access my audiobooks directly through Google Drive. Check out the link in the description. Now, let's get started.
"Leo. What? How?" The teacher was at a loss for words after seeing Leo, who used to be her favorite student until he died. "I'll explain in a bit. Let's go, Leo," Miss Camille said as she entered the classroom with Leo following behind her. When the students in the classroom saw Leo and recognized him, their eyes widened and their jaws dropped. Miss Camille stopped in the center of the classroom and faced the dazed students. "I'm sure you already know him, but this is Leo. He was thought to be dead for the past 3 months, but he'd actually survived. However, he's suffering from amnesia, so he doesn't remember many things." The entire classroom was dead silent. Wow, as expected of a parallel world. Everyone from my world is also in the same class here. Leo thought to himself as he glanced at their familiar faces. However, despite recognizing all of their faces, unlike Miss Camille who looked and felt the exact same one from his world, these students felt different, almost like this was his first time meeting them. Seriously? Leo is still alive. The students eventually returned to reality and started mumbling to each other. A lot of them expressed relief after seeing Leo's face, but some appeared worried for various reasons. "You know where to go after you're done with all of your classes, right?" Miss Camille asked Leo, who quickly nodded his head. "Good. I will see you then." And without saying another word, Miss Camille walked out of the classroom. The classroom remained dead silent, even many moments after she left. "Excuse me, but where is my seat?" Leo turned to ask the teacher. She snapped out of her daze and pointed at a certain seat. "Thank you," Leo said before walking to his seat. "This is also where I sat in my world. Let's see. Even though we're already behind schedule, I am not really in the right mindset to teach a class, so I might as well get it out of the way. Leo, what do you remember?" Leo pondered for a moment before speaking in a calm voice. "I remember my name, that I am a student of this academy, and some of the things that I'd learned in this academy. However, that is the extent of my memories." The teacher rubbed her eyes and sighed. "I see. Well, I am your homeroom teacher, Professor Jasmine, but I also teach math and English. You could just call me Jasmine, though. I don't like formalities." "Understand. Nice to meet you, Jasmine." Leo smiled. The classroom turned silent again. "WL, if you have any problems or questions, you can always come to me. Also, I don't expect you to understand the contents of our class because of your amnesia, so you don't have to worry about not being able to follow along. Just listen and do your best." Jasmine spoke to Leo as though he was an inexperienced child, which was reasonable, considering his situation. Jasmine started their first class for the day shortly after. It was math class. However, none of the students really paid attention to the class, as they were too focused on Leo, who was supposed to be dead and has been dead for the past 3 months. It felt like they were sharing their classroom with a zombie, which is understandable. Actually, there was one person in the class that was paying attention to Jasmine's class. I don't know what I expected, but I already know this stuff. It's literally what I was learning in my old world before being tossed here. Leo was relieved that he would be able to follow the class. Even if he doesn't belong in this world and will leave as soon as he can, he will still put all of his effort into studying since it's the only thing he's good at. Halfway into the class, Jasmine suddenly asked, "Leo, do you think you can solve this question?" Everybody in the class immediately turned to look at Leo. "Yes," Leo calmly responded. Really?" Jasmine and the rest of the class appeared to be very surprised by his response for some reason. "Then can you come up here and solve it?" Leo nodded. He stood up, calmly walked up to the board, and wrote on the board in a graceful manner, almost as though he's done this a million times before. "There you go." Leo placed the chalk down and casually walked back to his seat without even asking if his answer was correct. "It's correct." Jasmine's mouth dropped slightly. She turned to look at Leo, who was already back in his seat, with a look of disbelief in her gaze. "I was just teasing him a little, but he actually did it. Did he suddenly become smart after losing his memories?" She wondered himself. Despite being an excellent fighter and respected by many for his strength, there was one thing the Leo of this world lacked: academic skills. This was something everybody in the academy knew, hence why Jasmine and the rest of the class were shocked that Leo, who has supposedly lost his memories, could answer such a difficult question. "It's correct," Jasmine said after snapping out of her daze, and she continued to teach the class, feeling a little more motivated than usual for some reason. The class lasted for exactly 45 minutes. At the end of the class, everyone is given a 15-minute break while they wait for their teacher for the next period. Professor Jasmine left the classroom and made her way straight to the teacher's lounge, and she exclaimed the moment she entered the room, "Everyone, I have big news. Leo is alive." "Huh?" All of the teachers currently in the room turned to look at her with raised eyebrows. "Jasmine, by Leo. Are you talking about Sword Emperor Leo? The one that died a couple of months ago?" One of the teachers asked for clarification. "Yes, that Leo. He's back." After a moment of silence, the room suddenly erupted with chaos when everyone there realized the meaning behind such words. "I'll be damned. I knew that bastard wouldn't die so easily. Ha. This is great news. I can't wait until the other academies find out about this." However, Jasmine interrupted their celebration with the following bad news. "I'm sorry to rain on your parade, but even though Leo is alive, he's suffering from amnesia, so he doesn't remember anything." "What? Amnesia? Who cares? As long as he remembers how to fight, we're in the clear." One of the teachers laughed. "Right? That's the most important thing. Unfortunately, he has lost his strength as well." The room fell silent again. Meanwhile, inside his classroom, Leo pretended to not notice the obvious stares from his classmates by focusing on his notebook. Eventually, the other students began approaching Leo to ask him questions. "So what have you been doing for the past 3 months?" One of them asked him. "Everything is still fuzzy, but I remember wandering aimlessly until I arrived at this academy. I knew something was special about this place when I laid my eyes on it, too." Leo responded in a clear voice. "So you really don't remember anything about your death?" "We were all shocked when the school suddenly announced your death." "Right." Leo narrowed his eyes. "Now that I think about it, how did the school know that I was dead without finding my corpse?" Now that he had the time to ponder, Leo began having some questions. Thus, he decided to find out by asking his fellow students. "Why was I announced dead?" "I was told that they were unable to find my corpse." "Your life tablet broke. That's how the school knew." One of the students there said. "Life tablet? What's that?" "It's an artifact that keeps track of your life. If you die, your life tablet will lose function. All students are required to have one, and they are all managed by the school." "I see. Even if you've lost your memories, it's great to have you back, Leo." "Right. You were our knight's only hope." Leo raised an eyebrow and asked, "Sorry, but what's a knight?" "Knights are students who cannot use magic in this academy. Instead, we wield weapons and artifacts. Because of our inability to use magic, we're always being mocked and bullied by the magic students. Fortunately, we have you, the pride of all knights. You're the reason the knights in this academy can walk around without staring at the floor. After you were announced dead, the magic students started bullying us again. It was horrible for the past 3 months." The students explained the situation to Leo. "I see." Leo swallowed nervously. He didn't expect for the Leo of this world to be such a big shot. In his previous world, he was just a commoner who had top grades. "Is this what it feels like to have people rely on you?" "What a wonderful feeling," Leo sighed inwardly. "Unfortunately, these feelings are not for me, but for the other Leo, who was an inspiration to these students. When their next class started, everyone returned to their seats. Holy shit, he's actually alive. The teacher for their next class cried inwardly after seeing Leo's face. The teacher briefly introduced himself to Leo before starting class. Good, I know these materials as well. Leo smiled inwardly after seeing the lecture. Meanwhile, news of Leo's revival began spreading throughout the academy like wildfire. Hey, have you heard? Yeah, Sword Emperor Leo is alive. I thought his life tablet broke. What happened? Who knows? I heard he's also suffering from amnesia. Do you think he's still as strong? We'll find out soon enough. I'm sure there are plenty of magic students with their eyes on him. This might be their chance to finally defeat him, after all. Indeed, there were plenty of students that wanted to fight with Leo now that he's back. What? Leo is alive. Ha ha ha. This is great. I can fight him again. I heard that he's suffering from amnesia, though, so he might not even remember how to fight. News of Leo's return eventually reached the ears of the elite classes in the academy, where its most talented students can be found. Hey, Valerie, did you hear? The Sword Emperor has returned. What? A beautiful young lady with short black hair and a pair of emerald eyes mumbled in a shocked voice. Sword Emperor Leo, don't tell me that you've already forgotten about your boyfriend. It's only been 3 months. Hey, haven't you heard? Valerie is going out with John right now. Another student there said, since when? This is my first time hearing about it. Well, I'm not surprised, since they started going out with each other last week. Is that so? What are you going to do now that your old boyfriend is back, Valerie? Are you going to dump John and get back with Leo? John is going to be pissed if you do, though. You just might kill Leo for this. Leo. Valerie sat there with a dazed look on her face as countless emotions flooded her heart. Apparently, Leo has amnesia. Depending on the severity, he might not even remember you, so you can just act as though you don't even know him. Another student entered the conversation. What do you think, John? Are you okay with Valerie going back with Leo? Someone there suddenly asked him, who was also in the room. However, John remained silent as he stared at Valerie with a perplexed expression on his face. Leo, why did you have to come back now? He sighed inwardly. While news of Leo's return spread throughout the academy, Leo himself was focused on his classes, completely oblivious to how much his return is affecting the academy and the students within. At the end of every class, students from nearby classrooms would rush to his classroom to see if the rumors were true. However, because they were not allowed to enter the classroom, these students were only able to look at him through the door and windows. Holy shit, it's true. Leo is actually alive. He looks like Leo all right, but there's something different about him. He doesn't feel as powerful as before, and even his aura is completely gone. What did you expect from someone with amnesia? He may be Leo, but he's not really Leo until he fully recovers his memories. How long do you think it will take him to remember? Only God knows. Leo pretended to not notice the students outside his classroom and continued to learn more about this world and Leo from his classmates that were more than eager to help him recover his memories. Can you tell me a little more about myself? At least who I was before I lost my memories. Of course. Should we start from the beginning? Sure. He nodded. Thus, the students began telling Leo about his own achievements from the day he started school. The school bullying situation was at its worst when you first joined the academy a year ago. None of the normal students dared to retaliate against the magic students, but you were the only exception. No matter who tried to bully you, you would fight back and win. That's right. You were not only strong, you were unbeatable. None of the magic students could defeat you, including some of the elite students. Due to your masterful swordsmanship, the students eventually started calling you Sword Emperor Leo. Sword Emperor Leo? Sounds like something straight out of a fantasy novel. How embarrassing, Leo thought to himself. You've also won many tournaments, becoming the first knight in the Academy's history to win a tournament where magic students are allowed to participate. Not just magic students, you have even defeated many vampires. Very few students in this academy have the capabilities to fight them. Of course, you're the only knight amongst these students. The rest are the witches. Witches? Leo raised his eyebrows. Yes, There is a special title given to talented magic students with a certain magic aptitude. All witches have S rank in magic talent. In other words, they're all geniuses. Speaking of witches, you actually have a girlfriend who is a witch. One of the students there suddenly said, "What? I have a girlfriend." Leo's eyes widened with shock, as this was the thing he least expected to hear. Yes, her name is Valerie, and she's one of the few elite students in this academy. Valerie. Leo repeated her name in a dazed voice. The school beauty, Valerie, is my girlfriend? No way. He cried inwardly. In his previous world, Valerie was one of the academy's top beauties with countless admirers, and she even had a fan club of her own with over 10,000 members. Although he'd seen her a few times, he has never actually spoken with her before. While it didn't sink into his mind before, Leo now truly understood the vast difference between him and the previous Leo of this world. In his old world, he was a loner with no real friends, much less a girlfriend. He was often bullied by other students who were jealous of his top grades despite being a commoner. Meanwhile, the Leo of this world was the complete opposite. He had friends, people who looked up to him, and even a girlfriend. He even suppressed the school bullies, giving hope to the other students. How envious! Leo sighed inwardly, and he wondered if he had what it takes to replace the old Leo. After the final class ended, Leo stood up and prepared to leave. "Where are you going, Leo? Let's talk some more. We still have a lot to tell you." "Sorry, but I promised Miss Camille that I'd see her as soon as my classes are done. We can speak tomorrow," he said. After waving at the students, Leo walked out of the classroom and started making his way to the infirmary. However, because there were no more classes left, the other students that didn't get to see Leo flooded the wide hallways, making it almost impossible for him to leave. Oh my God, it's really Leo. Most of the students there were ordinary students, and they were ecstatic to see their idol alive. Suddenly, a loud and aggressive voice resounded in the hallway. "Get out of the way, you trash. I swear I'll fucking blow everyone here away with my magic. I'll give you all 3 seconds. 3, 2. The students there quickly made way for this person. Leo narrowed his eyes slightly when he saw this person. Short green hair and a gangster-looking face. Kane. It appears that this bastard is still a dickhead, even in another world. Kane was one of many bullies that Leo had to deal with in his old world, so it wasn't too surprising for Leo. "Ha, you're really alive. This is great. I thought I would never get the chance to take revenge on you for what you've done to me after hearing that you'd kicked the bucket. Now that you're back, fight me, Leo," Kane shouted while pointing his finger at Leo. Leo took a deep breath and spoke in a calm but puzzled voice. "I'm sorry, but who are you? I'm suffering from amnesia, so I don't remember you. I don't care if you have your memories or not. Fight me. Sorry, but I'm a little busy right now. Perhaps we can deal with this another. Either you accept my challenge, or I beat you up right here and now." Leo gritted his teeth in frustration. He thought that he'd be able to live a somewhat different life in this world due to his reputation for being strong, but he's already encountered a bully on his first day. "What's this? Are you scared? Haha, I can't believe my eyes. To think I'd get to see such an expression on the Sword Emperor's face in my life." Kane laughed madly. "Who said I'm scared?" Leo suddenly spoke with his hands grasped tightly into fists. "You want to fight? Sure, I'll fight you. However, I won't do it now. Give me 1 month and I will fight you. My body is still recovering from some serious injuries, so I won't be able to fight you properly now. Unless you don't mind fighting a man who's basically crippled. You won't be satisfied even if you win such a fight, right?" There was one thing the current Leo and the old Leo had in common, that they would always fight back the bullies. Despite being bullied for most of his life, Leo never allowed them to push him around, even if he ends up getting a broken leg by the end. There was one thing he hated more than losing, and that was giving up on himself. The hallway turned dead silent after Leo accepted Kane's challenge under certain conditions. "What's stopping me from acting ahead of schedule and beating you up now, huh?" Kane showed Leo a grim smile. It was at this moment the students on the other side of the hallway started moving to clear a path. "I'd switch Valerie. Everyone, get out of the way." Leo turned around after hearing this name, and sure enough, He could see Valerie approaching his direction with a group of people behind her. Holy shit, they're all from the elite class. The students immediately recognized their elegant uniforms that looked infinitely more graceful than the ones worn by ordinary students. Valerie stopped a few meters away from Leo, and she spoke in a calm voice while staring at Kane. Do you mind? Kane sucked his teeth in frustration, but he didn't dare to go against Valerie, one of the most influential students in the academy. I will see you in a month, Leo, and I don't care if you're ready or not by then. We're going to fight even if it's the last thing I do. Kane growled at him before turning around and walking away. I'm safe for now, Leo sighed in relief inwardly. However, while his problem with Kane ended, he was immediately greeted by a new problem. Leo, is that really you? Valerie's gentle voice resounded again, causing Leo to stare at her. Even in this world, she's really beautiful. No, she even looks a little better here. Did I really date such a beautiful girl? Unbelievable. I'm sorry, but do I know you? Leo pretended to not recognize her. A pained expression appeared on Valerie's face after hearing Leo's words. Leo, you bastard. One of the people standing behind Valerie suddenly stepped forward and grabbed Leo by his collar in an aggressive manner. John. Leo also recognized this person. Just like Valerie, John was an immensely popular student in his old world. If you're going to challenge me to a fight like that person just now, I will have to refuse, Leo said while staring into John's eyes. John, stop it, Valerie suddenly shouted at him. Che. John sneered coldly before releasing Leo and returning to Valerie's side. I'm sorry about that just now. We're not here to fight you. Do you really not remember anything about me? Valerie asked him with a profound frown on her face. The only thing I remember is my name and that I used to be a student here. That's all. I'm sorry, but I am very busy right now, and I have someone waiting for me. If you wish to talk, find me another time. And without saying another word, Leo turned around and started walking away. Even if you had a relationship with the previous Leo, I do not intend on continuing that relationship since I am not that Leo. Furthermore, I have no feelings for you, even if you're very beautiful, Leo thought to himself as he disappeared from the hallways. Despite being given a life that he has always wanted, Leo had no intention of living a life that someone else had created. It just didn't feel right to him, even if his decision might end up hurting the people in that life. Once Leo was no longer in the scene, Valerie's expression turned cold, almost expressionless, her thoughts unknown. Valerie, are you okay? John asked her. I'm fine. In fact, I no longer feel guilty about our relationship now. Leo may be alive, but the Leo that I once knew and loved is still dead. Hearing her words, John couldn't help but put a relieved smile on his face. After leaving Valerie, Leo went straight to the infirmary, where Miss Camille was waiting. You're late. Class ended 15 minutes ago. I thought I told you to come straight here immediately after class. Where the hell have you been? Miss Camille welcomed him with a bad mood. Sorry, but some people blocked my path, preventing me from leaving. I was even challenged to a fight by Kane. Leo sighed. Kane? I guess he's still mad about what you did to him. What did I do to him? Leo asked with a curious face. You thrashed him in front of the whole school, and he was bedridden for an entire week from the injuries. Ha ha. Serve him right. Leo laughed out loud. Then he remembered that he'd agreed to fight Kane. I wonder if I'll be able to do that in a month. I agreed to fight him, after all. He sighed. You what? I told you to stay low-key. Miss Camille frowned upon learning about his fight with Kane. He was threatening to beat me up in front of the students, and I am no pushover. Don't worry, I have a whole month to prepare. Kane is ranked top 200 in the whole academy, and there are over 10,000 magic students in this academy. You won't defeat him even if you're given a whole year. Miss Camille said in a nonchalant voice. In no way. Leo's face immediately paled. Miss Camille shook her head and sighed. That is only if you're truly an ordinary person. Follow me. Where are we going? To train, of course. Already. Do you want to win against Kane or not? I couldn't care less if you're killed by him, by the way. Miss Camille narrowed her eyes at him. Leo swallowed nervously. Oh, let's train, he said in a dejected voice the next moment. After leaving the infirmary, Leo followed Miss Camille outside. They walked for about 10 minutes until they arrived at a large, round building. This is the training center. This is where students can go to train their magic and other stuff. Miss Camille introduced the place to him. In Leo's old world, this training center would be a gymnasium. They entered the building shortly after. Once inside, Miss Camille brought Leo to a private room. The room's interior was made of steel, and it was the size of a classroom. "What kind of training will I be doing?" Leo asked. "What else? In order to keep up your appearances, you'll need to learn how to use the sword, just like the old Leo," Miss Camille said as she locked the door to the room. Leo looked around the spacious but empty room. "I don't see any swords around here." "Here." Leo turned around to look at Miss Camille after hearing her voice, and to his surprise, she was suddenly holding a sword. "What the? Where did you get that from?" he asked. Miss Camille flipped her palms and spoke, "Spatial magic." Leo then watched as Miss Camille put the sword into the small hole that had suddenly appeared on top of her palm, almost as though she'd split the space apart. The sword disappeared into the hole without any effort. "With this spatial magic, I can cut open space and store inanimate objects into another dimension that can only be accessed by me," Miss Camille explained as she took the sword back out of the hole. "Holy shit, that's freaking amazing." Leo's eyes flickered with excitement. What he'd witnessed just now looked like it belonged to a fantasy novel or movie. Instead of learning swordsmanship, how about I learn magic? Kane is a magician, right? It would only make sense if I fought him with magic, not a sword, Leo suddenly suggested. Miss Camille frowned and said, "Did you already forget? Leo cannot use magic. If you suddenly use magic, everyone will become suspicious of your identity. And we don't even know if you can use magic or not." Leo sighed. "I remember just fine. I just really want to try using magic, that's all. If you can reach a certain level of swordsmanship in the right time, I will teach you how to use magic," Miss Camille suddenly said. Of course, her true purpose was to motivate Leo to learn swordsmanship. "It's a promise. How good do I have to get, and how long do I have?" Leo immediately asked. "There's no need for you to know that. I will let you know when you reach that goal, if you even reach it all." "Deal." Miss Camille handed him the steel sword and spoke. "We'll start with the basics. Swing the sword straight in front of you a few times." Leo grabbed the sword that weighed about 2 kilograms and immediately started swinging it with all of his might. Despite seeing many mistakes at glance, Miss Camille didn't stop Leo until he swung the sword a dozen times. "Okay, you can stop now." "Man, that was tiring," Leo sighed afterward. "I'm not surprised, since you swung the sword with all of your might every time," Miss Camille said, and she continued, "You're putting too much strength into it. You're using a sword, not a blunt object. The most important thing when it comes to the sword is speed and precision. Let me show you." Miss Camille took out another sword with her spatial magic and started swinging it. Wow, Leo was totally enchanted by her graceful movements. Each of her strikes felt as light as a feather, and he could feel the sharpness of the blade, even though he was far away from it. Furthermore, her movement felt as natural as water flowing downstream. There were no wasted movements, and it looked like she was doing it without any effort. "Can you see the difference between my sword swings and yours?" she asked him afterward. "Yes. Your sword swings feel as light as a feather while mine feels unnaturally heavy. Your movements are swift and agile while mine are stiff and awkward." Miss Camille narrowed her eyes at him, and she thought to herself, if he can see the difference so quickly, he's not hopeless. In fact, he's got some sharp eyes. "Very well. Since you know your mistakes, go ahead and fix it. I won't stop you this time. So keep swinging that sword until you're satisfied," she said to him a moment later. Leo nodded his head, and without asking any questions, he started swinging the sword again. This time, he did not put all of his strength into the swings, and he tried to mimic Miss Camille's movements. A few minutes later, Miss Camille spoke. "Do not just copy my movements. You need to understand the reason behind these movements first, or you'll never truly improve. Tighten your grasp on the sword handle and stop using just your shoulders to swing the sword. Use your entire arm and your body as well. You'll be able to swing the sword more and spend less energy that way." "Yes," Leo listened to her advice and adjusted his actions accordingly. Half an hour later, this guy, he's a fast learner. The way he's swinging the sword now is incomparably better than before. At this rate, he might really surpass my expectations. Or he could just be pretending to be a newbie to lower my guard. Just who are you, really? And where did you come from? Even though she was the one who told Leo that he was from a parallel world, she didn't completely believe such a theory. In fact, she suspected Leo to be created by some kind of forbidden magic for whatever reason. However, in order to investigate his true origins without making him suspicious, she decided to give him the bullshit story of coming from a parallel world. It is also entirely possible for Leo to be a spy from another country, who is currently living and disguised as Leo. After all, it was too much of a coincidence for Leo, who had mysteriously died without his corpse ever being found, to suddenly come back like nothing had happened. Until I can figure out his true background, I must keep him by my side. It would be great if you were truly Leo, even if you're from another world, she sighed inwardly. The training lasted for 2 hours until Leo could no longer move his body anymore. That's it. I am done. I cannot lift my arms anymore. Leo collapsed on the ground with his body soaked in sweat. 2 hours? You're not very athletic. Miss Camille looked down on him. What? How am I not athletic? I have been swinging a steel sword without much breaks for the past 2 hours. I even work out very often because I am always fighting back the bullies in my old world. Leo exclaimed, feeling a little offended by Miss Camille's words. Beside his academic skills, there was one other thing that he was very proud of, and that was his strong body that had been trained and refined just so he can fight back his bullies. Of course, that didn't matter most of the time, since the bullies would always gang up on him. Your stamina may have been impressive back in your world, but here, it's only below average, Miss Camille said to him, and she continued, Anyway, since the training ended earlier than I had expected, and your progress surpassed my expectations, I guess I can teach you a little. Magic. Leo suddenly jumped to his feet and interrupted. Miss Camille looked at him with narrowed eyes. Are you really tired? Of course. But I will not miss the chance to learn magic, even if all of the bones in my body are broken. He said, Whatever. But before we start, I need to see if you have any magic talent, and if there are any specific elements that you're blessed with. This way I will know how to train you properly. She retrieved a clear crystal ball that was slightly bigger than a baseball with spatial magic and handed it over to him. Hold on top of your palm, she instructed him. Leo nodded and held the crystal ball with his right hand. Miss Camille then pressed her palm against his chest and closed her eyes. The next moment, Leo could see something appearing inside the crystal ball. It appeared as a small black dot at the center of the crystal ball at first, but the dot began growing in size until the entire crystal ball was pitch black. Miss Camille's eyes widened with surprise after seeing the results. What does this mean? It doesn't look good, Leo asked her in a nervous voice. You have a magic affinity for dark magic, and it's fairly powerful, she responded a moment later. Dark magic? That sounds very ominous. A lot of people will agree with you since dark magic is associated with vampires. Leo swallowed nervously. Does that mean I am actually a vampire? No, humans can also use dark magic, but it's a rare occurrence. Because of this, these people are also known as Cursed One. Oh my god, if people find out that I can use dark magic, I will definitely be bullied for the rest of my life here. Leo cried out loud. That's not true. What truly matters in this world is your strength, not your magic affinity. As long as you're strong enough, nobody will dare to bully you. In fact, there's a witch in this school that also has a magic affinity for dark magic, and nobody dares to bully her. And judging by the results, your magic talent is at least A rank. I will need better equipment to see your actual rank. You can attend elite classes as a magic student if you reveal this information. As if I can do such a thing. Leo sighed. So what do you want to do? Do you wish to learn dark magic, even though you cannot use them in public? Miss Camille asked him. Do you even need to ask such a question? Of course I do. I want to learn magic no matter what kind of magic it may be. Leo declared with a resolute expression on his face. What are you mumbling about? Miss Camille asked him. You don't see these texts floating in front of my face? Leo asked her in a puzzled voice. Miss Camille frowned. Are you making fun of me? And no, really. Look, it's right here. Leo pointed at the transparent screen that followed where his eyes went. There's nothing there, she said. Impossible, but I can see them clearly. You're obviously so exhausted from training that you're hallucinating. Get some rest. We're done for the day. What? What about magic? You said that you'd teach me magic. Trying to use magic when you're that exhausted is akin to suicide. I won't allow it. If you want to learn magic, then you should hurry up and improve your stamina so that you will have enough energy to learn magic after training with the sword, which is your priority right now. And without saying anything else, Miss Camille went to unlock the door. You know how to get back to the dorm, right? I'll meet you here tomorrow after school. Don't you dare be late again, or I will not teach you magic. After Miss Camille left, Leo also started making his way back to his own dorm. As for the transparent screens, they disappeared a while ago. Maybe I was really hallucinating. Sometime later. Ah, crap. There's so many people here. They're probably looking for me, Leo thought to himself as he approached the crowd outside his dorm building. Sure enough, when the students noticed Leo, they started alerting the others. Leo. It's really Leo. Oh my God. I can't believe it. He's still alive. The student said words that Leo had already heard many times today from the other students. When the students surrounded him, Leo sighed out loud. Can you all stop acting like today is the last day you'll be able to see me? You'll have plenty of chances to see me in the future. I'm really tired and would like to return to my room. The students became silent until one of them said, Your room? It was cleaned out a month after your death. You shouldn't have a room now. What? That's not possible. Leo didn't believe the voice and rushed to his room. He remembered very clearly waking up in his room today. A few minutes later, Leo arrived before room 1G. He started searching for his wallet that had the key to the room. However, his body was empty and his wallet was nowhere to be seen. Oh shit, I left my wallet in my room today because I was in a rush to leave. Leo cried inwardly. Do you need help opening that door? Someone there suddenly asked. Leo turned to look at the person who just spoke and recognized him as the dorm's manager. This should be my room, but I forgot where I'd put my keys, he said. I don't mind opening the door for you, but don't say I didn't warn you. The dorm manager unlocked the door with a card a moment later and allowed Leo to go inside. What the? This isn't my room. Leo was baffled by the interior of the room that looked completely different from this morning right before he left. Maybe the Leo of this world was assigned to a different room? With this in mind, he turned to ask the dorm manager, What room did I use to live in? 1G, but like I'd already said, your room had been cleaned out because you were thought to be dead. The dorm manager explained it to him. If that's the case, where did I wake up today? It was definitely my room. Or did I get teleported to this world the moment I left my room? I see. If that's the case, are there any available rooms right now that I can use temporarily? Sorry, but this building is already at full capacity. I will ask the other dorm managers to see if they have an available room. Thank you. Leo nodded. Thus, he followed the dorm manager to his office. After a couple of phone calls, the dorm manager said to him, There's one room available at the old dorm building. Sorry, but that's all we have right now. The old building, huh? Well, it's not like I have a choice. Leo shrugged. Once again, I am really sorry about this. The dorm manager lowered his head. Don't worry about it. It's not even your fault. Thank you. Do you know where the old dorm is located? It's about 10 minutes from here. Yes, I know. The dorm manager, there should be waiting for you there. He has short red hair with a sporty face. Thanks. Leo left and made his way to the old dorm room shortly after. Man, I really hope the old dorm isn't haunted like my old world, he prayed inwardly. The old dorm was famous in his old world for being haunted. There were many recorded phenomenons that nobody could explain. Of course, Leo didn't believe in superstitions, at least not until very recently. If magic, vampires, and witches exist in this world, there's a good chance that ghosts could also exist. 10 minutes later, Leo arrived at the old dorm building, but to his surprise, it wasn't run down like it was in his old world, nor did it resemble a haunted house. Well, this is a surprise. Leo mumbled as he approached the entrance. where a red-haired student in his early 20s could be seen waiting for something or someone. Leo, the red-haired student, started waving at him the moment their eyes met. Leo approached him and greeted, "Hello, I'm Hank, the manager of this dorm. Your room is ready. Follow me." He nodded and followed Hank to his new room. A couple of minutes later, once they arrived at the door, Hank handed Leo the key to the room and said, "If you have any questions, you can find me in my office after school hours." "Oh, even though they cleaned your old room, they haven't thrown away your stuff. I have already sent out an email to the storage guys, so you'll get your stuff back in a few days." "Understand. Thank you." After entering his new room, Leo looked around the place. The room was quite spacious, but that was due to the lack of furniture and personal stuff. Besides a dining table, some chairs, and a bed, the room was practically empty. "I miss my books and TV already," he sighed out loud as he started removing his clothes. Once he was butt naked, Leo entered the bathroom to wash his sweat-covered body. "I still can't believe that I have traveled to another world. It feels so unreal, yet am I actually in a really surreal dream? Perhaps I'd entered a coma from the fight." Leo began having a lot of shower thoughts as hot water rained on his body from head to toe. He pondered about what he should do from here, about his future, about his old world. He felt nervous and even a little terrified of the uncertainties, yet he was also excited about this new world and all of the new things that he's learned. "According to Miss Camille, I seem to have pretty decent magic talent. I didn't think I would have other talents. This could be a chance for me, a chance to change the purpose of my very being. Although I won't be able to reveal my magic talents now, I can do so when I am powerful enough to protect myself. When that happens, I shall let the world know that I am not the same Leo they knew, that I am." Leo suddenly had the urge to open his eyes that had been closed shut for many minutes. However, what he saw when he opened his eyes caused him to scream and fall into the bathtub. "It's a ghost!" he shouted in a surprised voice as his wide eyes stared at the shower walls in front of him, where a human head was sticking out of the wall. The ghost was also surprised by Leo's reaction, and it exclaimed in a clear, feminine voice, "Why, you can see me. It can talk." Leo cried inwardly, "Hey, answer me. Can you see me?" The ghost asked him again. Leo sat in the bathtub with a dazed look on his face. After a moment of silence, he stood up and pretended like nothing had just happened. He rinsed his body for a couple more seconds before getting out of the bathroom, completely ignoring the ghost. "I'll just pretend I can't see it. If it learns that I can see it, it will most likely haunt me," Leo thought as he dried his body with a towel. After putting on the only thing he has available, a bathrobe he'd found in the bathroom, Leo went straight to bed and pretended to go to sleep. While Leo laid on the bed with his eyes closed, the ghost hovered directly above him, silently staring at his handsome face. "You're pretty bad at pretending, you know? I know you can see me. I'm not an evil spirit, so you don't need to be wary." That sounds suspicious as hell, like something an evil spirit would say. Leo cried inwardly, "If you open your eyes now, I will show you my beautiful breasts." The ghost's words were so unexpected that it made Leo's face subconsciously twitch. The ghost chuckled when she saw his reaction and continued, "Look, I am completely naked right now. Nobody has ever seen me naked before, you know? That means you'll be the first one. All you need to do is open your eyes. Then you'll be able to feast your eyes upon my graceful body." Leo did not fall for the ghost's temptations and kept his eyes closed. The ghost sighed after seeing this. After a moment of silence, the ghost spoke in a cold voice. "If you don't open your eyes right now, I will possess your body and make you run around the school naked." Hearing such an awful threat, Leo's eyes snapped open, and he shouted, "Don't you fucking dare." When he opened his eyes, he could finally see the ghost floating above him. Holy shit, what a beauty! These were Leo's first thoughts when he saw the ghost clearly for the first time. Due to the mist from the hot shower, he was unable to see the ghost clearly in the bathroom, but now that he's looking at her, without anything obstructing his vision, he could see the ghost's features very clearly. This ghost had long white hair spread behind her like a cape with wind, long eyelashes, and she had two very beautiful gem-like red eyes. Her body was delicate and perfectly balanced. She had long, slender legs and a pale complexion that made it seem like she was made out of pure snow. She also looked to be around his age, and she was wearing a uniform that resembled the ones worn by the students in this academy. Seeing Leo's dazed expression, the female ghost smiled. "Are you disappointed that I am not naked? Or are you scared of my appearance?" Leo frowned and said, "I couldn't care less about your naked body, nor am I scared of you. Who are you? Are you really a ghost? And what do you want from me?" The ghost looked a little surprised by his answer. "I'm not really a ghost, since I am not completely dead. I am what you call a spirit. What's the difference? For starters, spirits are living beings that don't have a physical body. My physical body may be long gone, but my soul is perfectly fine, and that makes me a spirit. By the way, I have a name. Lilith. Nice to meet you, Leo from another world." "Wah, how did you—" Leo's eyes widened with shock. "Don't tell me. You're the one who summoned me to this world." Leo immediately came to this conclusion. Lilith smiled and said, "Does it look like I can use teleportation magic? Also, since I am a spirit, I cannot use magic, so no, I did not summon you to this world." "Then how do you know that I am from another world?" "Only Miss Camille should know about this. I heard you mumbling to yourself in the bathroom. You weren't aware, but I have been watching you for quite some time in the shower." Lilith chuckled in a cheeky manner. "With that being said, I have known about you, the Leo before you, for a while now. I mean, I didn't personally know him, but I have watched him a couple of times when he was still alive. He couldn't see me, though." Leo stared at the beautiful spirit before him with a pondering face. After a moment of silence, he spoke. "So, what do you want from me? If you're not here to haunt me, then can you leave me alone?" "What? After countless years, I have finally found someone that can see me, much less have a conversation with me. There's no way that I'd leave you alone now." Lilith exclaimed. "I knew it was a mistake to acknowledge you," Leo sighed. "I don't have any ulterior motives. I just want to be your friend. It can get boring living as a spirit, you know. I can see and hear everyone, but they cannot see or hear me. It feels like I'm alone in this world." Leo raised an eyebrow and asked, "Can't you just talk to other spirits or ghosts?" "Well, while I'm technically a spirit, I'm not a real spirit, so I cannot see them either." Leo looked at her with suspicious eyes. "So you're neither a ghost or spirit? That's suspicious as hell. Anyways, I gain nothing for being friends with an unknown entity that could possess my body, so I will have to refuse your offer. I was only joking about the possession. I'm just a powerless soul, so I can't possess you." Lilith said, "It doesn't change the fact that I have no reasons to be friends with you." "A reason, huh?" Lilith pondered for a moment before speaking. "How about I teach you magic?" Leo's eyes widened with surprise. "You want to learn magic, right? In fact, I was there when you tested your magic talent. I happen to have a magic affinity for dark magic as well, and I was very powerful when I still had my physical body. If you become friends with me, I don't mind teaching you a few dark magic spells. It's only natural for friends to help each other, after all. You really enjoy taking advantage of people's weakness, huh?" Leo gritted his teeth at her incredibly charming offer. "Too bad for you. Miss Camille will teach me magic, so I don't need you." In the end, he refused Lilith's offer. "While it's true that she can teach you magic, she will, at most, teach you 1 or 2 basic magic spells, but I can teach you all sorts of powerful dark magic, and much more. I can also guarantee you that you will learn magic faster under me than her. If you don't trust me, I don't mind giving you a taste of what it's like to be my friend." Lilith suddenly pointed her index finger at him and spoke. "Black Bullet. It's a tier 1 dark magic." The next moment, Leo could see a red magic circle with many symbols that he didn't recognize appearing in front of Lilith's finger. "It's quite easy to learn magic, actually. You only need to memorize the magic circle required for the magic. Using magic is a different story, however. In order to use magic, you must have an affinity for the type of magic you want to use, and you must have enough mana to use it. Take some time to memorize this magic circle, and I have already memorized it." "Now what?" Leo interrupted, dumbfounding her. "Huh? You have already memorized it? How is that even possible?" Magic circles have this phenomenon that makes it naturally hard for people to memorize it no matter how good your memory is. So even people that have photographic memory require some time to memorize them, and the stronger the magic spell, the longer it will take to memorize them. Lilith explained. You don't have to believe me. Leo shrugged. Unbeknownst to Lilith, the transparent screens appeared before him again. You have learned the magic spell, Black Bullet. Black Bullet. Affinity, Dark. Tier 1. Mana 10. Mastery rank F. You have completed a quest. Plus 200 magic experience. Plus 1 magic point. Ding. You have received a quest from the magic system. Quest. Increase mastery rank. Description. Increase any 1x magic spell to mastery rank. Time limit. 7 days. Reward. 400 magic experience. 2 magic point. I knew I wasn't hallucinating. Out of the thousands of books that I have read, I have only read a couple that has a system, so I didn't recognize it immediately, but this is definitely a system, right? Leo thought to himself as he stared at the transparent screens. Anyway, now that I have memorized a magic spell, how do I use it? Leo asked Lilith a moment later. He decided to test the system another time. It's simple. You just imagine the magic circle inside your head and release the mana in your body. The magic circle inside your head must be perfect, or the magic spell will not activate. Leo rubbed his eyes and sighed. This is my first time using magic, and my old world doesn't have magic, so I will need more details. For starters, how do I release my mana? How troublesome. Lilith sighed. However, for my soon-to-be friend, I shall help you. She flew in front of him and said, I'm going to help you feel your own mana, but that's the best I can do for you. You'll have to figure out the rest by yourself. Lilith then tapped Leo in the forehead with one of her fingers. Leo could immediately feel something different about his body. This is what mana feels like? I don't know how to describe it, but it feels freaking amazing, like there's some kind of otherworldly power inside me. Leo exclaimed in an excited voice after feeling mana for the first time. Good. Now try to release it with the magic circle for Black Bullet inside your head. Lilith instructed. Leo pointed at the wall with his hand that was in the shape of a gun, and he took a deep breath. The next moment, a black orb of light the size of a marble appeared on the tip of Leo's finger. It worked! Leo shouted in an excited voice after seeing himself use magic. You idiot! Stay focused! Lilith suddenly yelled at him. However, Leo was startled by her loud voice and accidentally released the magic spell entirely, sending the black orb flying towards the wall. Whoosh! The black orb pierced the wall with ease and disappeared outside the building, creating a small hole in the wall. You're lucky there wasn't another room behind that wall, or you could have been in big trouble. When using magic, you must remain focused no matter what. You could have really injured yourself or someone else just now. Lilith immediately scolded him afterward. I finally have someone to talk to after so long, so don't you dare get yourself killed so quickly, okay? Sorry, I got a little too excited. Leo recognized his mistake and apologized. Anyways, congratulations on learning your first magic spell. Lilith started clapping her hands. Hell yeah, and it's all thanks to you, Lilith. Leo said with a wide smile on his face. Does this mean you'll become friends with me? She suddenly asked. Leo turned silent for a moment before nodding his head. I don't mind being your friend, but if you do anything suspicious like trying to possess my body, I will immediately call for an exorcist. I swear I won't do anything like that. Lilith said. Leo nodded, and he held his fist in front of him. I never properly introduced myself. I'm Leo. Nice to meet you, Lilith. Lilith also extended her fist until it was directly in front of Leo's fist. Be honored. You're officially my first friend ever. She smiled. Sometime later, Leo began looking around the room to find something that would hide the hole in the wall. While he was doing that, Lilith watched him in silence. Not only did he memorize the magic circle at glance, but he was even able to silent cast the magic spell on his first try, almost like he's done it countless times before. Is this really his first experience with magic? If that's the case, what horrifying magic talent you have, Leo, she smiled inwardly. Thank God the damage wasn't anything serious, and the hole in the wall is too small to notice from the outside and easy to hide from the inside. Leo sighed in relief after covering up the hole by sticking a piece of paper over it. It was a simple but effective solution. If I want to continue practicing magic while keeping it a secret, I will need to do it elsewhere. Do you have such places in mind, Lilith? Why can't you just do it at the training center? They have private rooms made for students that wish to train magic. I could do that, but won't people be suspicious if I enter a training room meant for magic students when I cannot use magic? You're thinking too much. Lilith shrugged. But if you're that worried and cautious, you can visit a private training center outside of school. However, I must warn you, I cannot leave the school premises, so I won't be able to help you outside. Why can't you leave? Is there some sort of barrier preventing you from leaving? Leo asked out of curiosity. No, there is not. It's just that the mana gathered in this place is just enough for me to keep my soul from degrading. The mana outside the Academy's territory is many times worse. If I go outside, I won't be able to maintain the perfect condition of my soul. And if my soul is damaged, I will truly die. I see. Well, I don't plan on going outside since I don't have any money, and renting a private training room sounds expensive. Leo sighed. By the way, what do you normally do as a ghost? Do you just wander around? He suddenly asked. I'm not a ghost. And yes, since I cannot touch anything, I can only wander around the academy and watch people do stuff. I go to classes to keep my mind healthy and my knowledge up to date, and I watch students train when I am bored. When I am super bored, I spy on handsome students in the shower. Lilith said with a perverted smile on her face. Leo frowned. What a vulgar hobby. I am now having second thoughts about being associated with someone like you. I am just joking. Sheesh, you're not very fun. Someone as elegant and graceful as myself would never stoop as low as spying on people when they are in the shower. Right? I guess there must have been a misunderstanding just now when you were peeking at me in the shower. The corner of Lilith's lips twitched after hearing his words. I'm sorry. Please don't stop being my friend. I swear that I will only look at your body starting from today. That's not the point. Anyways, let's change topics. I want to know more about you. Can you tell me how you died? What about your life before you became a spirit? Lilith showed a hesitant expression on her face. You don't have to tell me if you don't feel comfortable with it. I'm just asking, not demanding. Leo quickly said, Thank you. I will tell you about my background when I am ready. However, I could tell you how I died. I was betrayed by my own family, and I was stabbed in the back. That's how I died. Leo swallowed nervously. He didn't expect her death to be so dark. Now he understands why she's reluctant to tell her story. If she's telling the truth, I don't think she will betray me in the future. Leo thought to himself, Can you tell me about your own world? Lilith suddenly asked him. Trust me, you don't want to. It's a super boring place compared to this world. You don't know that. Of course I do. This world has magic, but in my old world, magic only exists in fantasy stories and movies. If you take out all of the fun stuff in this world, you'll have my world. Fun, huh? Lilith muttered in a low voice. Regardless, I still want to hear it. If you tell me about your world, I will teach you another magic spell. Deal. Leo immediately agreed. Then he realized something. Wait, you said that you can't use magic as a spirit, right? Aren't magic circles considered magic? Yes, magic circles are considered magic. Then why can you use them? Because my magic circles are not really magic circles. I am a spirit, so I can transform my body according to my imaginations like this. Lilith's right hand suddenly turned into the blade of a dagger. That's pretty cool. Leo mumbled. This is also how I can create magic circles without using magic. Now that you understand, hurry and tell me about your world. Even if you say that, I don't even know where to start. My world is exactly the same as this world, but without magic and vampires. And that includes the school and the students here. Then tell me about your life before coming here. Leo nodded and said, I was a student of this academy in my world, but the academy had a different name there. Four Seasons University. I came from a common background that didn't have much money, so I had to get a scholarship in order to join the school. I got one by scoring the highest in the entrance exam. Soon after I entered the school, The other students started bullying me because I was the only student in my grade to come from a common background, and always being above them in the test that we must take every 2 weeks did not help me in the slightest. Oh, since I skipped a few grades, I was also the youngest person in our grade. And right as I was finally getting used to my life, I was tossed into this world without my permission. Lilith had a pitiful expression on her face after hearing Leo's depressing school life. What about your life before the academy? Leo chuckled and said, It's even more boring. All I did was study from day to night, so I had no friends. After a moment of silence, Lilith spoke, Honestly, your life is a lot like mine. I had no friends because I'd spent most of my time training magic at home, and I had a very strict household. This was my life from start to end. Maybe it's because of our similar life that's brought us together? Is this what they call a fateful encounter? I doubt it. Leo immediately rejected. Lilith smiled. But it is true that you're the only person in this academy that can see me. Anyways, here is another magic spell, just like I promised. Lilith showed Leo a different magic circle this time. Leo stared at the magic circle for a couple of seconds before the system appeared. Black Flame, Affinity, Dark/Fire. Tier 1, Mana, 25, Mastery Rank F. This is the magic circle for Black Flame, a dark and fire magic spell. Lilith explained, I thought I cannot use magic with a different affinity. Leo tilted his head in a puzzled manner. While it's true that this magic spell has fire element, it is also considered a dark magic. As long as the magic spell has some dark element, you'll be able to use it. With that being said, if you have a magic affinity for both elements, this magic spell will become more powerful and scale to both of your magic affinity. Lilith explained, I see. I really want to try out this new magic spell, but I will have to endure it for now. Leo sighed. Sometime later, Leo left his room and went to the laundry to clean his uniform that reeked of sweat before going to see Hanks. What's up, Leo? And why are you in a bathrobe? I don't have any clothes, and my only uniform is currently being washed in the laundry. I see. Then do you want to borrow some of my clothes? We have pretty similar body structures, so it should work out. Are you sure? Leo asked. Yes, I have a lot that I stopped using. You can even take them if you want. Leo shook his head and said, I just need something that I can work out in, and just one set of clothes is enough. All right, come with me. Hanks brought Leo to his own room. Sometime later, Hanks handed Leo 3 sets of clothes for working out. I know you only asked for one, but just take them. I was planning on throwing them out later anyway. Thanks. I owe you. Leo nodded. Also, I wanted to ask you, do you mind if I do some exercises around the dorm? Of course. As long as you don't make a mess or use magic, you'll be fine. The use of magic is forbidden outside of official matches in the training center, after all. Thanks. Leo suddenly recalled the hole in the wall. Sometime later, Leo changed into his new clothes and started running laps around the dorm while Lilith followed him in the air. After running for 3 hours without stopping, Leo returned to his room to take another shower. Afterward, he wore his school uniform and left the dorm. Where are you going now? Lilith asked him. The cafeteria, obviously. I'm starving after all the training I did today. There are 3 different cafeterias that students can go to in the academy. 2 of them serve free food, while the third one is for the elites that don't mind paying for luxurious food. As for the other 2 cafeterias, one is used by only magic students while the other is for normal students. However, this disparity between the students wasn't natural, something the school had intended. Instead, it was a situation created by the students that preferred being away from the other side, hence the disparity. Fortunately for Leo, the cafeteria used by normal students like him was the closest to his dorm, and he arrived after a short 10-minute walk. When he arrived, the students there quickly noticed Leo's presence, and with everyone there staring at him, it made it near impossible for him to eat in peace. Look over there. It's Sword Emperor Leo. Did you hear? He accepted a challenge from Kane, and they're going to fight in a month. Kane? He's always challenging Leo to a fight whenever he gets the chance, and he always loses. Nothing is going to change this time around. I'm not so sure about that. Leo is suffering from amnesia, and from what I heard, he doesn't even remember how to fight. Things might be different this time. If Leo can't remember how to fight, why even bother fighting him? That will only make Kane look like a fool, fighting someone powerless. I guess he's just that desperate to beat Leo. At another table, some female students mumbled to each other, "Don't you think this is the best chance to hook up with Leo? Huh? Are you looking to die? He already has a girlfriend, and she's a witch. Are you talking about Valerie? Haven't you heard? She's going out with John now, which means he's single and available. It's still too risky. I would wait for a few more days before I do anything if I were you." Meanwhile, Leo sat by himself at a small table, trying his best to ignore the stares. "You're even more popular now that you've returned from the dead," Lilith said to him as she hovered sideways in front of him, almost as though she was lying on a bed. Leo mumbled without looking at her, "Can you not speak to me while we're in public? People will think I'm crazy if they see me talking to myself. That's not fun at all." Lilith frowned. "You might not care about your public image at all, because they can't see you, but I care. You don't have to respond to everything I say, but I will continue speaking. Just act like I'm speaking to myself. I'm satisfied just knowing that you can hear me." Leo quickly finished his food and left the cafeteria. On his way back to the dorm, Lilith suddenly said, "Leo, don't stop walking and don't turn around. There's someone following you." "What? Who is it? What do they want from me?" "It's a magic student, judging by her uniform." "Huh? It's a female student? Then I don't have to worry too much about it. She's probably an admirer of the previous Leo." Lilith left his side to go check the stalker's identity. When she returned to his side, she said, "I don't think she's an admirer." "How did you come to that conclusion?" "Because that student is Nina Wraith, and she's a witch." "So what? If the old Leo could date someone like Valerie, he could attract other witches as well. Actually, Nina Wraith is also known as the Witch of Necromancy. Don't you think it's too much of a coincidence that someone like her shows up right after you came back from the dead? She probably thinks you got resurrected with magic or something, so she's spying on you." What an ominous title. Can she resurrect the dead with her magic or something? And most importantly, is she dangerous? Leo asked. "Nina Wraith. I don't know any students by that name in my old world." He thought to himself, "No, she cannot resurrect the dead. I don't know if she's dangerous or not, but she has a bad reputation in the academy." "How bad?" "Rumors say she likes to experiment on corpses and other things that are related to the dead. Isn't there some kind of law that prevents people from messing with corpses in this world?" "Well, it depends on what she does with the corpses, but for the most part, what she's doing is not illegal, and she's probably just practicing her magic, which is pretty normal for magicians that study necromancy." Is necromancy considered dark magic?" Leo then asked. "Yes." "I see. So she's also—" "Leo, watch out. She's casting magic," Lilith suddenly shouted. "What?" However, before Leo could even react, two hands appeared from the ground beneath him and grabbed his ankles, preventing him from moving. "What is the meaning of this?" Leo shouted out loud. "Calm down. She's just restricting your movements," Lilith said. A small figure approached him from the shadows a moment later. "Please calm down. I won't harm you," Nina Wraith said to him. "You?" Leo was taken aback by her appearance. Nina Wraith had a petite body and a delicate face, making it seem as though she was no older than 12 years old. She had long black hair that reached the back of her knees, and her eyes were dark but clear. When Leo saw Nina Wraith, he subconsciously muttered out loud, "A child." Nina's eyebrows twitched after hearing his words. "Who are you calling child?" "I'm 19 years old, a full-fledged adult," she shouted in a frustrated voice before kicking Leo in the knee with her black Mary Jane shoes. "Fuck, that hurts." Leo fell to the ground while clutching onto his knee. "I thought you said you weren't going to harm me," he shouted afterward. "That was before you insulted me." She snorted. "It's against school rules to use magic outside of official matches and the training center. You're going to get into a lot of trouble if the school finds out. It's just a Tier 1 magic spell. I won't get punished over something so small as long as I don't kill you." Nina shrugged. "You skipped a few steps there. It should be as long as I don't hurt you," Leo exclaimed. "Don't be naive, Leo. She's a witch. She can beat up another student in front of the teachers and get away with it." Lilith laughed. Leo gritted his teeth after hearing such words. So it's just like my old world, where the rich and influential can get away with pretty much anything as long as it's not murder, huh? He sighed inwardly. What do you want from me? He asked her after forcing himself to calm down. I would like to take a look at your body and see if you've been resurrected with magic, she said with a nonchalant look on her face. What? That's crazy. Of course, I am not resurrected with magic. Leo refuted. If that's the case, then why do I sense dark magic coming from you? Dark magic? I have no idea what you're talking about. Leo frowned. Lilith flew in front of him and explained to him, Black Bullet. When you use magic, its mana residue will linger around you for some time before disappearing, and people with the same magic affinity will be able to sense it coming from your body. What? Why didn't you tell me something so important before? My secret is now exposed, and it hasn't even been a full day since I came to this world. Leo cried inwardly. Why aren't you responding? Nina asked him with narrowed eyes, clearly suspicious of his behavior. I don't know what you're talking about, but I was definitely not resurrected with magic. This is a misunderstanding. Since you're so confident that you're not a reanimated corpse, you wouldn't mind me inspecting your body, right? I will immediately leave you alone afterward, if this turns out to be a misunderstanding. Hearing her words, Leo stared at Lilith in the eyes. Let her. Lilith nodded with an amused smile on her face. Even though Leo did not trust her, it was not as though he had another choice. Fine, I will let you inspect my body. You better leave me alone afterward. He sighed out loud. Thank you for your cooperation. Nina nodded. Cooperation, my ass. You basically forced me. He cursed her inwardly. Can you lift your shirt up? Nina asked him shortly after he agreed to let her inspect his body. Leo took a deep breath and released it before lifting his shirt halfway, revealing his pristine six-pack abs. Nina swallowed nervously and said, A little higher. Lift it above your chest. Leo didn't say anything and lifted his shirt until his entire body was exposed. Nina tipped her toes to its limits and placed her hand on his chest, where his heart was located. She closed her eyes and began inspecting Leo's body with some unknown magic. Lilith watched Nina's every movement, just in case she planned on doing something funny to Leo's body. There's nothing wrong with his heart. His blood also appears to be healthy. There's a hint of black magic in his body, but nothing that suggests he was resurrected from the dead. The mana is too weak. Half a minute later, Nina removed her hand from his body and mumbled in a dumbfounded voice, You're not a reanimated corpse. Leo immediately pulled his shirt back down and said, Thanks, Captain Obvious. I told you that I wasn't resurrected from the dead, but you don't want to believe me. Why do you even care if I am a reanimated corpse or not? He then asked, Necromancy is my specialty. It's only natural that I would be interested in someone who supposedly came back from the dead. Nina said, Anyways, I was wrong about you. Goodbye. Nina turned around and disappeared into the shadow shortly after. Unbelievable. She didn't even bother apologizing. Leo muttered in a dumbfounded voice. At least her personality matches the rumors. Lilith chuckled. Leo shook his head and continued to make his way back to the dorm. Meanwhile, after her inspection on Leo, Nina Wraith returned to the main school building and went straight to the infirmary. Despite the lights being turned off inside the infirmary, Nina opened the door that should have been locked after school hours and entered the room. Inside the infirmary, Nina could see a tall and mature figure standing by the window. I have inspected Leo's body, just like you'd asked, Miss Camille, Nina said after closing the door behind her. Thank you. I could only rely on you since you're the only person in this school who can tell if someone is an animated corpse. What were the results? Before I tell you the results, do you remember our agreement? I didn't do this out of charity. Of course. I have it here with me. Miss Camille showed Nina the item in her hand. Necklace of the Dead. It's a B-grade magic artifact that boosts all necromancy magic. Tell me the result, and it's yours. Nina took a deep breath and spoke. Leo's not a reanimated corpse. His body is perfectly alive. Are you sure? Miss Camille frowned slightly. 100%. However, there's a slight discrepancy in his body. What is it? There are traces of dark magic inside his body, so he either used dark magic recently or he'd been struck by dark magic. With that being said, the amount of mana in his body could not be the result of resurrection magic, so you don't have to worry about that. Miss Camille pondered Nina's intel. Traces of dark magic could be caused by the test earlier today. It would make sense since he has a magic affinity for dark magic. Do you have anything else? Miss Camille asked a moment later. No, that's all the information I have. Miss Camille narrowed her eyes on Nina. If I find out that you're lying to me or withheld intel, I will come back for you. Do you understand? Nina showed a cold smile on her delicate face. Aren't you forgetting another thing? That I'm not allowed to tell anyone about our agreement. Miss Camille snorted before tossing the necklace of the dead into the air towards Nina's direction. Nina quickly went to catch the magic artifact. Hey, that was dangerous. Nina tried to complain, but like a ghost, Miss Camille suddenly disappeared from the room. Leo, huh? Why does she care so much about him? To think she'd be willing to part with a B-grade magic artifact just to confirm that he's not a reanimated corpse. How surprising. Nina did not linger around the infirmary and left shortly after. Back at the old dorm, Leo laid on his bed and prepared to go to sleep. What if I wake up and find myself back in my old world tomorrow? What if this is all just a really long dream? He couldn't help but have these thoughts. Despite only being in this world for less than a day, he was already getting fond of it. By the way, I really hope you're not going to watch me sleep for the entire night. Leo looked at Lilith, who was hovering directly above him and staring at his face. Why not? You're pretty handsome for a human and just my type, she said in a teasing voice. For a human? Leo raised an eyebrow. Why are you talking as if you're not a human? I mean, you're a ghost right now, but you're technically still human, right? However, Lilith didn't respond to him, as she was too busy staring at him with wide eyes. You're not aware? She asked him after a moment of silence. Aware of what? Then Lilith realized something and mumbled, Oh, right. You're from another world, and vampires don't exist in that world. Huh? Vampire. When Lilith mentioned vampires, Leo suddenly recalled what Miss Camille had told him earlier today. Vampires look exactly like humans, but they have white hair and red eyes. Why you're a vampire? Because Lilith resembled a human so much, whether it be her appearance or attitude. He subconsciously treated her as a fellow human despite her unique features. Lilith nodded with a prideful smile. That's right. I'm a vampire. But to think that you weren't aware of it until now. Miss Camille told me, but I kind of forgot. Leo scratched his head. Forgot? Even though your memory is amazing enough to instantly memorize magic spells? I don't believe it. Even if I have perfect memory, it is inevitable that I will forget some minor things. I have also been thinking about a lot of things today, so my head is a little overwhelmed at this moment. Is that so? Lilith proceeded to stare at his face in silence, and with a pondering expression. What is it? Leo decided to ask her. Now that you know I am a vampire, are you scared of me? Do you hate me? Are you going to stop being friends with me? She asked him with a worried look in her gaze. Leo pondered for a moment before speaking. After hearing about you guys from Miss Camille, I thought vampires would be much scarier. In any case, I am not scared of you. Even if you may be a vampire, in my eyes, you're just a perverted ghost who enjoys peeking at people in the shower. Hell, even Nina Wraith, who looks like a child, is scarier than you. Lilith couldn't help but smile after hearing Leo's words, and she spoke. Once again, I am not a ghost. Whatever. I'm going to sleep, Leo said after yawning. He closed his eyes and tucked himself comfortably in bed the very next moment. Good night, Leo. Night. Leo quickly fell asleep within seconds due to how exhausted he was. As for Lilith, she would go on to spend the entire night silently staring at Leo's sleeping face with a gentle smile on her face. I wonder if he would be able to say the same words just now if he knew my true identity, she sighed inwardly. Leo woke up the following morning with aching pain all over his body, especially around the shoulder and arms. Good morning, Leo. Lilith greeted him the moment he opened his eyes. I haven't been this sore since I first started working out, he mumbled in a painful voice. It might hurt, but if you don't wake up soon, you will be late for school. Lilith said, What? What time is it right now? 7 on the dot. Leo sighed. After spending a few seconds to resolve himself, he got off the bed and went to wash his face. 5 minutes later, he got dressed and left the dorm. Did you know that you like to sleep talk? Lilith suddenly asked him as he made his way towards his homeroom. Really? What was I saying? Leo was curious. You were dreaming about using magic, right? You were shouting Black Bullet and Black Flame out loud throughout the whole night. Lilith chuckled at him. Sometime later, Leo arrived at his classroom 3 minutes before homeroom started. Good morning, Leo. His classmates greeted him with bright smiles the moment he walked through the door. Good morning, everybody. Leo greeted them back with a stiff smile, which felt really awkward since he's never had to return his classmates' greetings in his old world. Did you sleep well last night, Leo? One of the students asked him. Yes, I slept like a log. He nodded. Good for you. I know I won't be able to sleep properly knowing that I will be fighting Kane in a month. Damn it, why must you bring up such an unpleasant topic so early in the morning? Leo cried inwardly. You're fighting Kane in a month? What a surprise. You don't strike me as the fighting type. Lilith said after hearing about his challenge with Kane for the first time. I know you're talented, but even with your talent, you'll need to practice hard if you want to defeat someone like Kane in a month. He's someone with over 15 years of experience with magic and combat while you just started yesterday. I had no choice. I will have to fight him whether I accept his challenge or not. The only difference is when I have to fight him. If I refused, he would have fought me there and then. Leo sighed in a low voice. Don't worry. As long as you have me as your teacher, you will be able to defeat Kane in a month. Lilith said in a confident manner. Even though you're teaching me magic, and I cannot use magic in public? Leo shook his head inwardly. After homeroom, Professor Jasmine started their first class. Leo, can you solve this? Jasmine picked Leo for their first question of the day. I can. Leo stood up and walked to the board. He returned to his seat a few moments later after leaving behind a perfect answer on the board. As I thought, his performance yesterday wasn't just a fluke. He somehow turned smart. Jasmine cheered inside her heart. Despite not being smart in class before, Leo still managed to become her favorite student. Now that he's smart, her impression of him increased several folds. Time passed very quickly, and before Leo realized, it was already time to go home. The weekend starts tomorrow. If you're planning on leaving the school premises, make sure to notify the school and check out at the school entrance. Have fun, Jasmine said to the students before leaving the classroom. What are you going to do for the weekends, Leo? The students asked him. You want to hang out? I know a great place near our academy. Sorry, but I already have plans with Miss Camille, Leo said to them with an apologetic smile. Huh? The school nurse? Why? She's in charge of my recovery. Leo gave them a random but understandable excuse. And I also have to prepare for my fight with Kane. I see. Then we'll bother you another time. Good luck, Leo. The students no longer bothered him. Leo did not linger in the classroom and immediately headed for the training center, where Miss Camille was waiting. How do you feel? Miss Camille asked him. Sore. Good. That means you're growing. Leo followed her to a private training room shortly after. Since we trained your upper body yesterday, we'll train your lower body today. I want you to sprint around the room until you cannot lift your legs anymore. This will help you quickly gain more endurance. I understand, Leo said without complaining. Before you start, wear these around your wrists and ankles. Miss Camille handed him 4 metallic green bracelets. What are these? He asked. They're F-grade magic artifacts that will boost your endurance and stamina, allowing you to train for longer. Isn't this cheating? I'm artificially boosting my stamina, after all. No, it's not. It's a hassle explaining it, so I won't bother. However, I will say that this is a very common training method used by everyone that can afford these artifacts. How much do they cost? Leo asked out of curiosity. $20,000 each. Miss Camille casually said. What? So, I'm going to train with $80,000 on me. If I trip and accidentally break them during training, you better not expect me to pay for them. I won't. The school has plenty of them, anyways. That's not the issue here, Leo sighed. As someone who was born in a common household, $80,000 is a huge amount of money that would take him years of working and saving to collect, yet he will be wearing equipment worth that much just for training. It was simply incomprehensible. If you don't want to use them and make things harder on yourself, by all means. Miss Camille said as she gestured for him to return the artifacts. W said anything about not using them. Leo quickly wore all 4 artifacts, one on each limb, and he started running laps around the room at full speed. An hour later, Leo was surprised to see that he was still running without running out of breath. Normally, he would run out of breath after a few minutes of sprinting at his full speed, yet he was able to run an entire hour without much trouble. These magic artifacts are amazing. I feel like I can run around the world as long as I have them on me. Leo became even more motivated to train with these new toys. After sprinting for another 2 hours, Leo finally collapsed on the floor when he exhausted all of his stamina. 3 hours, huh? Not bad for your first time. Miss Camille approached him. She proceeded to retrieve something from her spatial storage and placed it on the floor before Leo. What is this? He asked her after seeing the item, which was a clear glass bottle with about 3 ounces of green liquid inside. It's a stamina potion. It will increase your stamina recovery rate. You should be back to full energy in 15 minutes after drinking it. Miss Camille explained. My God, this world is amazing. No wonder why everyone is so strong. As long as I have this stamina potion, I can train all day and not run out of energy. However, Miss Camille shook her head and said, your body is too weak right now, so you'll only be able to drink one of these every 12 hours. Even so, that's still 3 extra hours of work out every day. Leo immediately drank the stamina potion and waited for his stamina to recover. 15 minutes later, he was back to running laps around the room for another 3 hours. Meanwhile, Miss Camille resumed reading her book near the door while she waited for him to finish. After 6 total hours of intense training, Leo collapsed on the floor, gasping for air. I have never worked out so much in my life before. I feel like I am dying. He could feel his heart beating like war drums. Seeing that he was done, Miss Camille closed her book, tossed it inside her spatial storage, and she approached him. Here, eat this. She tossed what appeared to be a piece of candy at him. Why are you giving me candy? Leo raised an eyebrow. It's a performance-boosting medicine. It'll make it so that your body will gain more benefit from your training today, she explained. Leo looked at the candy and can't help but feel like he's taking drugs and steroids to improve his strength at a rapid rate. This is a magic world, so things are different here, probably, he thought to himself. Once Leo could stand up again, Miss Camille suddenly said to him, strip. Again. This is his 2nd day in this world, and Miss Camille's already stripped him twice. However, he didn't complain and stripped his top and bottom until he was only in his underwear. Leo could hear Lilith chuckling behind him and feel her gaze ogling at his body, but he pretended to not notice. Meanwhile, Miss Camille paced around him while staring at his body. She would also use her hand to squeeze his muscles every once in a while. His body is improving at a good rate, and it seems to have a lot of potential. Maybe he will be able to achieve Leo's strength if given enough time. A few moments later, Miss Camille spoke. If you continue training at this rate for a month, you will acquire strength that is about 1% of what the previous Leo had achieved. Only 1%. Isn't that a bit too low? How will I beat Kane like that? Leo asked with wide eyes. 1% of Sword Emperor Leo's strength is more than enough to defeat someone like Kane. No way. Just how ridiculously powerful was this old Leo? Extremely powerful, she calmly responded. And someone like that somehow died. This world is more dangerous than I thought. Leo swallowed nervously. It's getting late. We'll stop here for today. Come back here tomorrow morning at 9, and don't be late. Miss Camille said a moment later. Oh, Miss Camille, do you mind if I borrow these magic artifacts for times when I work out by myself? I don't mind, but if you break or lose them without my supervision, you'll be responsible for paying the bill. Leo swallowed nervously, and he said, Tian, I will just borrow one of them for now. It was easier to manage one than 4, significantly lowering the risk of breaking or losing it. Sure. After getting back the other 3 magic artifacts, Miss Camille left the training center. "How do you feel?" Lilith asked him once they were alone again. "I can barely walk straight," he sighed as he limped his way back to the old dorm. After a quick shower, Leo hopped straight into bed without even bothering to eat dinner. "Hey Lilith, I have a question. How can I increase a magic spell's mastery level? Do I just keep using it?" "Pretty much," she said. "I see." Leo fell asleep moments later. Unbeknownst to Leo, while he slept, his body started to transform. His muscles and bones grew stronger, his blood healthier, and his body more refined. The following morning, Leo woke up with his lower body aching in pain, but to his surprise, it wasn't as bad as he thought it would be. After washing his face and getting dressed, he went to the cafeteria for breakfast. Unsurprisingly, the cafeteria was quite empty this time, mostly because it was the weekend and most students slept in, or they preferred eating outside the school premises. Because of this, Leo was able to have a slow and peaceful breakfast. When it was almost 9, Leo made his way to the training area to meet up with Miss Camille for another day of training. "Is it sword training today?" Leo asked her. "Yes." Miss Camille nodded her head as she pulled out a sword from her spatial storage. "The sword looks different from the last one I used." Leo immediately noticed this detail. "Careful, this sword weighs 10 kilograms. It's 5 times heavier than the last sword," she warned him as she handed the sword to him. 10 kilograms. Why are you increasing the weight already? The lasting session was only to get you used to holding and swinging a sword. The real training starts today. We'll be working on your arm muscles first. Once you can comfortably swing around a 30-kilogram sword, we'll begin working on your technique. 30 kilograms. That's ridiculous. What kind of sword weighs that much? 30 kilograms is nothing. The previous Leo can swing 300 kilograms easily. And for your question, most magic swords will weigh above 50 kilograms. After handing Leo the sword, Miss Camille handed him 3 bracelets. "HM, is there a reason why 2 have a different color?" Leo asked her. "The red ones will increase your strength, and the green ones will increase your stamina. Were the strength bracelets around your wrist and the stamina bracelet around your ankles." After wearing the bracelets, Leo found it much easier to hold the 10-kilogram sword. "The bracelets are only to train your muscles right now. Your real goal is to wield a 30-kilogram sword without the bracelets." "I see. By the way, what if someone decides to wear more than 4 bracelets? Isn't that a little too overpowered?" Leo suddenly asked. "You can, but these magic artifacts have greatly diminished effects after the 4th one, so there's really no point." Sometime later, Leo started swinging the sword like last time. Once Leo was out of stamina about 3 hours later, Miss Camille handed him a stamina potion. "Before you continue, let me add something," Miss Camille said as she proceeded to pull out a weird-looking object that Leo has never seen before out of her spatial storage. This object was as tall as an adult human, and it had the shape of a human mannequin. However, the material it was made out of was what baffled Leo. "What is this thing? It's like it's made out of jelly," Leo said. "This is a slime dummy. It's near indestructible as long as you hit it with physical attacks. Give it a try." He nodded and swung the sword at the dummy, slicing half of its body but not managing to cut it entirely in half. After pulling his sword out of the dummy, it restored the damage almost immediately. "You'll be swinging your sword at this dummy starting now. This will help you train your precision with the sword as well. If you don't hit the dummy properly and with enough strength, you won't be able to cut it, and your goal is to cut it completely with every swing." "I understand." Leo nodded, and he started to swing at the dummy. A few swings later, Miss Camille suddenly said, "Since we have plenty of time today, I don't mind teaching you magic later if you train hard enough with the sword." "I'm looking forward to it." Leo became more motivated after hearing her words, and he started swinging at the slime dummy with even more strength and speed. After spending 2 hours swinging his sword at the slime dummy, Leo was out of breath and stamina, even though he lasted 3 hours before. "Here, eat this." Miss Camille handed him another candy. Afterward, Leo asked her, "Are you going to teach me magic now?" She shook her head and said, "We'll do it after you get some rest and I get some lunch. I will see you back here in an hour." "All right." Leo nodded. Leo returned to his room to take a quick shower before making his way to the cafeteria again. Once his stomach was full, he returned to the training center with 15 minutes to spare. This place is nothing like the gymnasium I know, and it's also a lot bigger. Let's take a look around. With that in mind, Leo started wandering the training center. The interior of the building consisted mostly of hallways and private training rooms, so Leo didn't bother with it. Instead, he checked out the area behind the training center where an outdoor training field existed. There he could see both ordinary students and magic students doing their own things. The ordinary students were practicing their weapon techniques on slime dummies and other objects, while the magic students trained their magic spells on dummies that appear to be made out of crystal. Leo focused on the magic students since they were the most interesting to him. Fireball! A young man pointed his palms at the crystal dummy 10 meters in front of him and shouted out loud. A ball of flame the size of a fist appeared before the magic student before flying at the crystal dummy. However, the crystal dummy suddenly emitted a subtle, colorless light, absorbing the ball of fire before it could be damaged. A moment after it absorbed the magic, the crystal dummy pulsated with a green light. What's happening? Leo asked Lilith. That's a magic-absorbing dummy. It will absorb all magic spells and evaluate the magic power of that magic spell, she explained. Magic power above 100 and below 500 will emit a green light. 500 to 1,000 will emit a blue light. 1,000 to 2,000 will emit a purple light. 2,000 to 3,000 will emit an orange light. 3,000 to 5,000 will emit a red light, with 5,000 being the limit. Leo pondered for a moment before speaking. I understand the function of the dummy and the purpose of it, but I don't understand the magic power part. Then let me give you some examples. Lilith said, and she continued, it's hard to evaluate magic power because of many variables, but this is the gist of it. Magic power around 500 is usually strong enough to break bones. Around 1,000 is strong enough to blow a hole in your body if you don't have any protection. Magic power around 2,000 is strong enough to destroy entire buildings. Leo raised an eyebrow and asked, how much magic power do you think someone like Kane has? Well, it depends on what kind of magic spell he uses, but he should be able to output at least 1,000 magic power with any Tier 2 magic spell. Leo swallowed nervously after hearing this, and then he asked, W, what about me? My black bullet was able to put a hole in the wall. That should be at least 500, right? Yes, that's right. Lilith nodded, and she thought inwardly. Normally, Tier 1 magic used by newbies like him would only have around 100 magic power, but because of his high magic affinity, he was able to output at least 500 on his first try. What terrifying talents! After watching for a few more minutes, Leo went inside the building and waited for Miss Camille to return. When she arrived, he quickly went to greet her with a smile. Welcome back, Miss Camille. I know you're eager to use magic, Leo, but I must warn you. Even if I teach you magic today, there's no guarantee that you can use them immediately. Before using magic, you need to memorize magic circles, and that alone can take hours if not days. It's just memorizing some magic circles. How hard can it be? I'll have you know that I have a pretty good memory. Leo smiled, pretending to know nothing. Miss Camille decided to not explain it to him so that he could experience it firsthand how hard it was to memorize magic circles. Since you have a magic affinity for dark magic, I have picked out 2 Tier 1 dark magic spells for you. Miss Camille retrieved a laptop and opened 2 video files. The first magic spell is called Black Bullet. It's like shooting a bullet from a gun, but in this case, the bullet is magic and the gun is your hand. Miss Camille opened the first video file, which showed a middle-aged man using Black Bullet. The second magic spell is called Dark Barrier. It's a defensive magic spell that creates a barrier around you, protecting you from harm. However, it can only be used when there are shadows around you, and the more darkness there is, the stronger the barrier will become. So this magic spell is the most powerful at night. After showing him the second video of the magic spell being used, she asked him, which magic spell do you want to learn first? Dark Barrier. Leo answered without hesitation, which surprised Miss Camille, who was sure that he'd pick Black Bullet first. Why did you pick Dark Barrier? I was sure that you'd pick Black Bullet. She decided to ask him. Huh? Isn't it obvious? My safety comes first. With this magic spell, I will feel a lot safer in this dangerous world. Leo immediately responded. Although he wasn't lying about wanting to feel safer, it wasn't the entire truth. However, there was no way that he could tell her that he'd already learned Black Bullet from a vampire spirit. Furthermore, since I cannot use magic publicly, there's no reason for me to learn an offensive magic spell such as Black Bullet for now. He continued giving logical excuses. This guy, how unexpected, Miss Camille thought to herself. All right, here's the magic circle for Dark Barrier. I will give you the magic circle for Black Bullet. Once you can use Dark Barrier, she handed him a piece of paper with a magic circle perfectly drawn on it. Leo accepted the paper, took one good look at the magic circle, and proceeded to hand the paper back to Miss Camille. You have learned the magic spell, Dark Barrier. Dark Barrier. Affinity, Dark. Tier 1. Mana, 50. Mastery rank, F. What are you doing? Seeing his actions, she asked him with her eyebrows raised in a puzzled manner. I have already memorized it, he calmly responded. What? There's no way that you could have memorized it so quickly. Miss Camille immediately doubted him. But it's true. Memorizing magic circles is nothing like memorizing words on a book. It's more like memorizing every little detail on a deeply detailed piece of art with a complex design. If you miss even the slightest detail, you will not be able to use the magic properly, and magic circles are naturally hard to memorize. Even a magic prodigy will require an hour or two to memorize this magic circle. I don't know what to tell you, Miss Camille. I really memorized it. Leo shrugged. If that's true, then you should be able to use the magic spell right now. How do I activate my mana? Leo pretended to not know again to avoid suspicion. Miss Camille approached him, placed her palm on his chest, and poured some of her mana into his body. Do you feel it? Yes, I do. It's a very refreshing feeling. Good. Memorize this feeling. Leo closed his eyes, and a few moments later, the shadow in this room suddenly began gathering around his body. Miss Camille removed her palm and took a few steps back from him, her eyes wide with surprise. No way. He really managed to memorize the magic circle in such a short time. Miss Camille was in disbelief as she stared at the dark barrier that encompassed Leo's body like a ball. How is it? Did it work? Leo asked her a moment later, despite the answer being clear, as he wanted to rub it in her. After snapping out of her daze, Miss Camille handed him another paper, which had the magic circle for Black Bullet on it. This is the magic circle for Black Bullet. I want you to memorize it and use it. Leo nodded, and he calmly accepted the paper. However, since he'd already learned the magic spell, he pretended to study it. Okay, I am done. Aim at the wall. Don't worry, it won't do any damage to the wall. After handing the paper back to Miss Camille, Leo pointed at the wall and proceeded to use Black Bullet. A small black bullet appeared on the tip of his finger before it flew at the wall in the distance. The sound of someone smacking a metal wall with a blunt object resounded when the black bullet struck the wall and disappeared without leaving even a dent on the wall. Unbelievable. Miss Camille mumbled in a dazed voice as she stared at the proud smile on Leo's handsome face with a baffled face herself. This guy, not only did he manage to learn the magic spells in seconds, he can even silent cast them on his first try. His magic talent is ridiculously high. Miss Camille cried inwardly after realizing what Leo had just done. I'm pretty good with magic, right? How about we ditch the sword and start focusing on my magic? Leo smiled at the dazed Miss Camille. Don't get ahead of yourself. Miss Camille frowned after snapping out of her daze. And she continued, you may have some talent when it comes to learning magic, but you're focusing on swordsmanship right now. I understand that I must keep up my appearances as Leo, but won't that be a waste of my magic talents? Leo complained. After a moment of silence, she spoke. Listen up, Leo. I admit that you're very talented with magic. However, that doesn't mean you should ignore everything else. Just because you can train your mana doesn't mean you should not train your body. And just because you can wield magic does not mean you won't need to wield a weapon. There will be situations where you won't be able to cast your magic, and there will be times when you have to use your body to defend. In these situations, A mage that can wield a weapon and has a strong body will prevail over those who focused only on their magic. Miss Camille couldn't deny the fact that Leo was a magic genius, but she didn't agree with the statement that it would be a waste of his talents. And she continued, "How about this? You can focus on training your magic once you defeat Kane using only swordsmanship. You're already 10 years late when it comes to learning magic anyway. Another month won't mean anything." "You're right, Miss Camille. It's important to have a sturdy body and know other combat styles, even if I can use magic. Sorry, the excitement of being able to learn magic must have affected my train of thoughts." Leo sighed. "I will continue to train the sword and my body diligently even after I defeat Kane." "Good. Then let's continue your training." Miss Camille nodded. Sometime later, Miss Camille retrieved another dummy from her spatial storage and placed it a few meters away from Leo. "That's a magic-absorbing dummy that evaluates one's magic power, right? I watched some of the magic students train with them right before coming here." Leo recognized the dummy made of crystal. "Yes, that's right. Since you already know about it, we can skip the explanation and go straight into training. I want you to hit the dummy with as many black bullets as you can use. You can stop once you start feeling lightheaded." "Okay." Leo pointed his finger at the dummy and started firing off black bullets every few seconds, feeling incredibly refreshed to finally be able to let loose and use magic to his heart's content. However, after his fifth black bullet, Leo suddenly started feeling lightheaded. What is happening to me? I suddenly feel super fatigued." Leo quickly took a seat on the floor and started rubbing his eyes. "What you're experiencing is called mana fatigue. It's basically your body telling you to stop using magic. This is what happens when you're low on mana. If you continue using magic while in that state, you will lose consciousness, and that is the best case scenario." "What's the worst case scenario?" Leo asked out of curiosity. "You die." Leo swallowed nervously, and he made a mental note to never use magic whenever he's experiencing mana fatigue, unless it was a live-or-die situation. "Here, drink this. It's a mana potion." Miss Camille handed him a bottle of blue liquid. After consuming the mana potion, Leo could feel his fatigue disappearing within moments. "Tastes like sparkling water," he thought to himself afterward. "How often can I drink these?" He then asked, "Although you can drink mana potions every hour, it is recommended that you drink them every 2 to 3 hours to lower the risk of mana overdose, where you acquire too much mana in too short of a time." "Every hour? Why is there such a big difference in cooldown between stamina potions and mana potions?" Leo asked. "There are a couple of reasons. The first being that mana naturally regenerates faster than stamina. Secondly, mana potions are far more advanced than stamina potions due to how much the world relies on mana. One more reason is that mana potions contain actual mana, which will directly recover our mana like filling an empty glass with water. However, you cannot do that with stamina." "I see. That actually makes a lot of sense." Sometime later, Miss Camille said, "Your mana should have fully recovered now. Go ahead and repeat what you were doing before. This will tell us the state of your current mana capacity right now." Leo nodded and started shooting black bullets at the dummy again, making the dummy pulsate a pale blue light every time. About a minute and 10 black bullets later, Leo started experiencing mana fatigue again. 10 black bullets, huh? Considering that you just started using magic today, you're above average when it comes to mana capacity, I guess. Miss Camille said, "Since each black bullet uses at least 10 mana, I should have around 100 total mana right now, huh? It would be nice if the system showed me exactly how much mana I have," Leo thought to himself. The following moment, calculating host's total mana. Calculation completed. Mana, 9 of 125. How convenient. Leo was surprised by the magic system's response to his desires, and he wondered if there was anything else he could make the system do. "Miss Camille, I have a question. Let's say a black bullet uses 10 mana, and I have 100 total mana. Can I use all 100 mana on a single black bullet?" He asked her a moment later. "Yes, that's what we call overcharge, when you use more mana than necessary to strengthen the magic spell. However, there's a limit to how much you can overcharge a magic spell. Every magic spell will have a minimum mana usage. For example, if you only use 5 mana to activate Black Bullet, which requires 10 mana, it will not activate. As for its limit, that will depend on your mastery of that magic spell and your magic affinity. It's very common for people to overcharge their magic spells, but that doesn't mean it's not dangerous. If you try to overcharge a magic spell past its limit, the magic spell will explode in your face. I see. Leo made another mental note to never overcharge his magic spells past their limit. By the way, how can I tell if I am near its limit? When it starts getting hard to pour more mana into the magic spell, you'll feel a resisting force. It's very obvious, so you won't miss it, she explained. Sometime later, Leo started swinging the sword again while he waited for his mana to naturally recover. Although he cannot use magic while he has mana fatigue, he could still use his own stamina to train his body. Of course, this required Leo to get past his mental weakness caused by the mana fatigue, which was easier said than done. Once it was starting to get dark outside, Miss Camille said to him, "Go get dinner. I will see you back here in an hour." "Huh? We're still going to train today. Do you have classes tomorrow?" Miss Camille calmly asked him. "No, I don't think so. Then you'll be training with me. In fact, I don't plan on letting you sleep tonight." Leo's eyes widened with shock after hearing her words. If only those words mean what I want them to mean. Leo felt an urge to cry after hearing her last few words. "Why are you looking at me like that? If you want to defeat Kane, you will need to put at least this much effort," Miss Camille said, and she continued, "You might not realize this yet, but your match with Kane is much more important than you think. I would even say that it will decide whether you live or die in this academy." What do you mean?" He asked for clarification. There are many people, students, that have a grudge against the previous Leo, and they are all waiting for the result of your fight with Kane. If you lose to Kane, they will undoubtedly flood you with challenges, and if you refuse, they will bully you to your death. However, if you win, there will not be as many challengers, and the better your result, the less likely they will try to mess with you. Seriously? Just how many students did the previous Leo offend? A good majority of magic students hate him. Miss Camille grinned. No way. After standing there in a daze for a couple of moments, Leo snapped back to reality and spoke in a resolute voice. "I'm not hungry. Let's continue training." However, Miss Camille started walking toward the exit and said, "If you want to starve, you can do it by yourself. I'm going to eat. Also, you are forbidden from training with magic if I am not here with you because I don't trust you with magic yet." "I understand." Leo nodded, and he continued to train with the sword while Miss Camille disappeared from the room. "She's working you to the bones, Leo," Lilith said to him shortly after Miss Camille left. "It can't be helped. I am too weak right now, and Miss Camille is only doing what's the best for me." "How can you be so sure about that? You just came to this world, right? Why do you trust her this much?" "Because that's the Miss Camille I know," he calmly said. "That makes no sense. The Camille in this world is not the one you knew in your old world. You can't really say that you know her. I understand, and I agree with you, but she's the first person to help me in this world, so I had no choice but to trust her. Without her help, I can't even begin to imagine what my situation would be like right now. And while it's true that this Miss Camille is not the one I know, she doesn't feel any different from the one I know, so I subconsciously treat her the same." "If you say so. However, you shouldn't trust people so easily in this world. You never know what they may be thinking," Lilith said in a solemn voice. "People like you," Leo said with a teasing smile. "I am an exception," she hastily responded. Miss Camille returned to the training room about an hour and a half later. "How long does it normally take for one to recover their mana naturally?" Leo asked her when she returned. "That really depends on how much mana you have. The bigger your mana capacity, the more mana you will recover. At your current level, you'll need around 4 hours to recover your mana completely. Then how does one increase their mana capacity? Keep using magic. Your mana capacity will naturally increase. With that being said, don't expect it to happen overnight." "I'm not." Leo smiled. Leo continued to train his magic now that Miss Camille was there to supervise him. After shooting about 7 black bullets, Leo consumed a mana potion and continued to shoot another 10. The system appeared at the end of his training. Your mastery rank for Black Bullet has increased to E. Ding. You have completed a quest. Plus 400 magic experience, plus 2 magic point. You have received a quest from the magic system. Quest. Learn 3x magic spell. Description. Learn 3x tier 1 or above magic spell. Time limit, 7 days. Reward, 600 magic experience, 3 magic point. Ding. You have completed a quest. Plus 600 magic experience, plus 3 magic points. You have received a quest from the magic system. Quest. Increase master rank. Description. Increase any 2x magic spell to mastery rank D. Time limit, 14 days. Reward, 1,000 magic experience, 5 magic points. Magic system has leveled up. Magic shop has been unlocked. Magic system. System level 2. Magic talent. EX+. Dark magic affinity S. Magic experience. 200/50,000. Magic points 6. Magic shop? I'll have to take a look at that later when I have the time. Leo thought to himself as he read the system notifications. Once he was out of mana, Leo started training his body, and he would continue this until it was midnight. I can't remember the last time I stayed up this late, even on the weekend. I'm not only exhausted, but I'm sleepy as well, Leo said to Miss Camille, who seemed completely fine as she read her book. Here, Miss Camille retrieved the potion from her spatial storage and handed it to him without looking away from her book. Let me guess, this will make it so that I don't need to sleep. Leo said, Yes, you're right. It's an energy potion. You'll feel refreshed immediately, like you'd just woken up from a good nap. Why am I not surprised? It's like there's a potion for almost everything in this world. By the way, how much do these potions even cost? You have been handing them to me like they're water for a while now. Leo asked her about the value of these potions, something he immediately regretted. Well, it depends on the quality. If you're just asking about the ones I have been giving you, mana potions cost around $1,000 each. Stamina recovery potions cost around $500, and these energy potions cost about $200 each. What? That's insanely expensive. Where do you get the money to spend so lavishly? Who said I paid for them? These are all supplied by the academy. The headmaster has given me the permission to use the school supply to help you recover your strength. I see. That makes a lot more sense. Leo mumbled. After learning that he wasn't using up Miss Camille's resources, Leo felt less guilty about the money being spent on him, as he was aware of how ridiculously rich the academy was. Sometime later, Leo resumed his training after all of his drowsiness was washed away by the energy potion, and he would continue this all night. The following morning, Miss Camille said to him, Go get breakfast. I'll see you back here in 2 hours. Yes. Leo returned to his room to take a steaming hot shower first. She actually kept me up all night, he sighed. A few moments later, Leo decided to check out the recently unlocked magic shop. How do I open the system? Do I just command it? Let's give it a try. Open magic shop. He commanded inwardly. Ding. The system answered his request the very next moment. Magic shop. Shop level 1. Awaken random affinity. 10 MP. Increase mana capacity. 5 MP. Increase magic power. 5 MP. Improve magic affinity. Total MP. 6. Shop experience. 0 out of 100. Wow, this is pretty neat. MP. So I can use the magic points acquired from quests in this magic shop. Everything in this shop seems so useful, and they're pretty cheap for now. Leo was pleasantly surprised by what the magic shop had in store for him. Awaken random affinity. Does this mean I can acquire a new magic affinity? And it only costs 10 MP? This is a no-brainer. The other options were self-explanatory. Improve magic affinity. Why is the price a question mark? Ding. Improve magic affinity. Dark affinity. S plus 100,000 MP. 100,000 magic points. Leo subconsciously exclaimed after seeing the ludicrous price. What are you shouting about in there? Do you need me to come in there to check up on you? Lilith's voice resounded from outside the bathroom since Leo forbade her from entering. No, stay out of the bathroom. Leo immediately responded. Che, How boring, Lilith complained. I only need 4 more MP before I can acquire a new magic affinity, so I just need to complete the current quest, and I will be able to afford it. After exiting the shower, Leo went to grab breakfast at the cafeteria before returning to the training center. There were still 30 minutes until Miss Camille would return, so Leo decided to just lie on the floor to rest. When Miss Camille returned, Leo would start training on his magic first, since it was easier for him to run out of mana than stamina. Although he wasn't aware, every time he reaches mana fatigue, his mana capacity would increase by a little. At the end of the day, his total mana had increased to 170, allowing Leo to shoot over 15 black bullets with ease. Furthermore, his black bullets started causing the magic dummy to pulsate with a dark blue light, meaning that it was getting close to 1,000 in magic power. Miss Camille stopped his training and said, "You can go home and get some rest. We'll continue this tomorrow after school." "I understand. By the way, thank you for spending your precious time with me, even though it was the weekend. I usually stay at home and read books anyway. This isn't that much different except for the scenery," she calmly said. Leo returned home shortly after, falling asleep seconds after closing his eyes. Meanwhile, Miss Camille reviewed Leo's progress in her bedroom. His progress with the sword is by no means slow, but compared to his magic talents, it's miles behind. In just 2 days, he's progressed what would normally take even talented magic students 2 whole months to achieve. Seeing how frightening Leo's magic potential was, she was beginning to believe that he was truly from another world. The following morning, Leo woke up late for class. "Damn it, homeroom started half an hour ago. Why didn't you wake me up, Lilith?" Leo cried out loud as he quickly prepared for the day. "Hey, don't blame me. First of all, I'm not your alarm clock. Secondly, I did try to wake you up. However, you wouldn't wake up no matter how loud I shouted at you. This is my first time being late to class in over 10 years. I can't believe it." After arriving at his destination, Leo swallowed nervously before entering the classroom. "Sorry for being late, Jasmine." He apologized as he walked into the classroom, causing everyone there to look at him. "Are you okay?" Jasmine asked him. "Yes, I just overslept. I had training with Miss Camille over the weekend, and she even kept me up all night on Saturday." "Kay kept you up all night?" Jasmine looked at him with a dumbfounded face. Some of the female students in the class could be seen blushing a moment later. "Anyways, it's not that big of a deal. I heard from Camille that you're still recovering from some injuries and that she's helping you with physical therapy." "Thank you. I will try my best to not be late again." Leo went to his seat shortly after. How surprising. The old Leo never cared about being late and would rarely come to class towards the end. Jasmine thought to herself before she continued her class. After spending 7 long and slow hours in school, Leo prepared to leave the classroom to go to the training center for another day of training. However, before he could go anywhere, Professor Jasmine approached him and said, "Hey, Leo." "Yes. You probably don't know this since you have amnesia, but we are having our lessons at the Coliseum tomorrow." "Excuse me? At the what?" Leo doubted his ears. "They have a Coliseum in the academy?" "The Coliseum. It's right behind the training center. We go there every Tuesday to practice swordsmanship, and there will even be instructors to guide you." Jasmine explained. "I see. I understand. I will be there tomorrow morning. I don't expect you to participate due to your injuries, but since we're training with swords, you might remember a thing or two," she said. Leo nodded despite knowing full well that he wouldn't remember anything. After leaving the school building, he made his way to the training center and started his training with Miss Camille. "Does everyone in school train in swordsmanship?" Leo suddenly asked Miss Camille towards the end of their training. "Not everyone, but the majority of knights do." "So is non-magic student a knight in this school?" "Yes, that's right. Why are you suddenly asking these questions?" Miss Camille was curious. "Well, we're supposed to have our classes at the Coliseum tomorrow, and the students will be training in swordsmanship according to Professor Jasmine." "Oh, you're right. I forgot about that." Miss Camille suddenly frowned. "What's the matter?" Leo asked her after seeing her expression. "You'll probably have to spar with students from other classes tomorrow." "What the hell? I thought we're only there to practice." "Yes, and sparring with other students is considered practice. In fact, it's very common. Although nobody would dare to spar with the previous Leo, there might be some students that wish to test your current level. And to be completely honest, I don't want you sparring with other students yet. I know. I'm not powerful enough, right? Leo said. No, that's not it. I don't want the other teachers to be suspicious of you. That's all. Don't worry. I have no intentions of fighting anyone until I'm strong enough. Good. The following morning, Leo made his way to the Coliseum, which was about a 5-minute walk from the training center. Holy, this place is much more massive than I'd anticipated, Leo muttered in a surprised voice after arriving at the Coliseum, which was the size of at least 3 football stadiums together. After spending a moment admiring the building, Leo followed the dozens of students there inside. Once inside the Coliseum, Leo looked around the open field for Professor Jasmine. Fortunately, she was easy to spot due to her unique appearance. Sometime later, he grouped up with Jasmine and the rest of the students in his class. Are all the students here for training? I can even see magic students here. Leo asked. Yes. The knights practice on the left side of the field and the magic students practice on the right side of the field. If you wish to spar with them, you just need to walk up to them and challenge them. Jasmine nodded. Yeah, I don't think so. When all of the students for their class arrived, Professor Jasmine said, take 10 minutes to warm up, then we'll start practice. Yes, all of the students there brought their own swords, so they immediately started warming up by swinging the sword at the empty air in front of them. Only Leo there was empty-handed. Sorry, I didn't know we needed to bring our own sword. Leo said, don't worry about it. I already told you that I don't expect you to train with us today. I know, but I still want to train at my own pace. Do you have a sword I can borrow? Jasmine pointed at the weapon rack in the distance and said, you can use one of those. I'll be right back. Leo ran to the weapon rack and started looking through the swords there. All of the swords were organized by weight, so it didn't take long before Leo found what he was looking for, a 15-kilogram sword. Furthermore, 15 kilograms was the lightest sword in the rack. After spending the entire weekend with Miss Camille, his arm strength increased to the point where he could swing swords at that weight without any artifacts. Now that he also had a sword, Leo started warming up with the other students by swinging his sword. Why is Leo swinging around such a light sword? That's like swinging around a feather for someone like him. His classmates mumbled to each other. After all, even though Leo has lost his memories, amnesia has nothing to do with one's strength. It must be due to his injuries. His injuries must be very serious for him to lose so much strength, yet he's still coming to class as usual. How admirable. I wonder what really happened to him. We can only guess for now, since even he doesn't know. 10 minutes passed in the blink of an eye, while the students warmed up their bodies and muscles. Now that everyone is warmed up, it's time for practice. Professor Jasmine retrieved a box from a spatial storage, just like Miss Camille, while the students lined up in front of her. The students proceeded to put their hands into this box before pulling out a piece of paper that had a number written on it. Those that picked the same number will be sparring with each other. If you wish to challenge someone, you can do so after your first fight. Jasmine said to them, and for the next 2 hours, the students from Leo's class would spar with each other in the open field. Of course, the other classes were doing the same thing, but at different locations in the open field. What do you think? Do you remember anything? Jasmine approached Leo about half an hour into their training and asked him. Sorry, I don't. Leo shook his head. I see. Well, you have plenty of time to remember now that you're back at the academy where it's safe and sound. I wouldn't call this place safe. Leo showed her a bittersweet smile. I guess I can't argue that, but trust me, it's hell of a lot better than outside the city, where vampires and monsters roam freely. Huh? Monsters? I know about vampires, but there are monsters too. This was Leo's first time hearing about monsters. Of course, vampires are actually quite rare compared to monsters, but they're also much more powerful than monsters, mostly due to their intelligence and knowledge. I see. Leo subconsciously glanced at Lilith, who was flying around the open field and watching the other students. Once all of the students fought at least once, Jasmine said to them, you can now go challenge the other classes if you want. After getting her approval, most of the students in the class left to find opponents from the other classes. However, They only dared to approach the other ordinary students. Leo remained with Jasmine and watched from a distance. However, he was quickly becoming bored of just standing around, so he started training by himself again. When the students from other classes noticed Leo training by himself, a few of them approached him. "Hey, Leo, let's have a spar." A bulky student that was a head taller than Leo said to him. "Sorry, but I'm not in the condition to spar with others." Leo immediately rejected the challenge. "Huh, are you scared? You're the last person I expected to refuse a fight." The bulky student taunted him. Leo stopped swinging his sword and glanced at the student. "If you want to fight, I'll fight you all you want after I deal with Kane. What's your name? If you don't come looking for me, I will come looking for you." The bulky student swallowed nervously after hearing Leo's words. "I'll come back after your challenge with Kane then." The bulky student quickly turned around and walked away. Several more students from other classes approached Leo for a spar, but they were all shut down. Leo's really changed, not even daring to fight with the ordinary students. He's turned into a coward. The magic students at the other side of the Colosseum had been paying attention to Leo, as they were looking forward to seeing him spar. However, that no longer seems to be possible. Sometime later, someone there shouted while pointing at a certain person, "Elle, look over there." "Holy shit, what is she doing here? She has never shown up to training before." The magic students there watched as a red-haired student approached the unaware Leo. "Leo!" The red-haired student shouted his name once she was close enough. "Huh." Leo quickly turned around to see a beautiful young girl walking towards him with an angry expression on her pretty face. "Who's this chick?" Leo wondered inwardly. "Sorry, but if you're looking to spar with me, I will have to refuse," he said to her a moment later. However, the young girl ignored his words and pointed her sword at him. "You promised that you'd fight me. However, you died the day before our fight. I have waited 3 months for this moment. I'm sorry, but I don't even remember who you are. If you want to fight me, I don't mind, but there's a line of people waiting to fight me. Please wait your turn." Leo shook his head. "Fight me." The red-haired student suddenly brandished her sword at Leo. However, she stopped her movement right before her blade touched his neck. "I see. So this is how you want to play, huh?" She retrieved her sword and sighed, and without any explanations, she turned around and walked away. What the hell? I couldn't even see her movements just now. Leo snapped out of his daze and cried inwardly. The only reason he didn't try to dodge her strike was simply because he couldn't react to it. Once the red-haired student was gone, he asked Jasmine, "Who was that student just now?" "That was the Crimson Witch's younger sister, Tia Barnett. She has a habit of challenging the strong," Jasmine said. "Crimson Witch?" Leo raised his eyebrows. "Yes, she has the highest magic affinity for fire in this entire academy, and she's also one of the most powerful students. With that being said, her younger sister, Tia Barnett, isn't as talented, hence why she keeps on challenging the strong as a way to prove her strength to others. Just ignore her, Leo. She'll stop bothering you after a while." "That's exactly what I intend on doing," he said. After training by himself for another half an hour, Jasmine dismissed the class 3 hours earlier than normal. "See you tomorrow, Leo." "Of course." Leo rushed to the training area after class. Even though Miss Camille wasn't there yet, he decided to start training early. "You're more motivated than usual. Did being challenged so many times today affect you?" Lilith asked him. "No, that has nothing to do with it. After watching the other students spar, I realized truly how weak I am compared to them. And it's not just a difference in our strength. I wouldn't have lasted even 3 seconds if I fought with them. I still have a lot of work to do." Leo sighed. "That's only true if you're using a sword. If you're allowed to use magic, you're already stronger than most of the people at training today." Lilith said, "Even if that is true, I cannot use magic until I'm strong enough." He sighed. By the time Miss Camille arrived at the training center, Leo had already exhausted his stamina, so he started training with magic. At the end of the day, Leo asked, "I have been swinging the sword aimlessly for many days now. When am I going to learn some sword techniques?" "Just focus on your foundation for now and forget about the others. We will get there when we get there," Miss Camille said, and she continued, "Most things in this world require a foundation. If the foundation is weak, so is everything else after it. Also, I am not qualified to teach you real swordsmanship. I will have to find you another teacher for that, preferably someone that doesn't know the old Leo. I understand. Leo nodded. Time passed quickly as Leo focused on his studies in the morning and training in the afternoon, and before he was aware, an entire week had passed. During this time, his Black Bullet's mastery rank increased to D, and his Dark Barrier increased to... Since he can only use magic that Miss Camille taught him, Leo was unable to practice with black flames at all. Furthermore, his mana capacity has increased to 300, and his magic power reached over 1,000 with only Tier 1 magic spells. As for his training with the sword, he has finally managed to acquire enough strength to wield a 30 kilograms sword with ease. Although his swordsmanship cannot compare to his magic, it was still progressing faster than Miss Camille's expectations. Such growth wouldn't have been possible in Leo's old world, but with the assistance of magic potions and artifacts, it became a reality. Now that you have sufficient strength, we can start working on your sword techniques so that you can finally start fighting for real. Since it's the weekend tomorrow, meet me here at 9. Okay. After returning to the dorm, Leo went to find Hank, the dorm manager. Hey, it's been a while since you mentioned my personal items, but I still haven't received them. Leo said to him. Huh, really? Let me call them right now. Hank picked up the phone and dialed a number. A few moments later, Hank explained the situation to the person on the other side of the phone. Leo, right? Let me check the database. Here we go. Leo. What happened? Hank asked. It says here that Leo's items have been delivered 3 days ago. What? Hank raised his eyebrows. He turned to look at Leo and said, They said the items have been delivered to you 3 days ago. What? That's impossible. Did they leave it in front of my door and mark it delivered? What if someone stole it? Leo said that he didn't receive his items. Let me contact the person who delivered it. A few minutes later, the person called back and said the person who delivered the package said that he'd personally handed it to Leo. Leo, are you sure you didn't receive anything? The deliverer said that he'd handed it to you personally. That's nonsense. I am rarely in my room nowadays, and when I return, I go straight to sleep. I have never received anything. Leo exclaimed. You heard Leo. Then I will have to open up an investigation. This could take weeks, if not months. I understand. I will let him know. After hanging up, Hank explained the situation to Leo. Unbelievable. I only wanted some extra clothes and uniforms. And if you don't believe me, you can check my room. It's empty in there except for the clothes you gave me. No need. I believe you. Hank shook his head. However, since we don't know what happened to your package, we can only wait for them to finish the investigation. What was inside my items, anyway? Since someone went out of their way to steal it, there must have been something valuable inside. As far as I am aware, artifacts and valuables are given to the Academy once their owner is officially dead. So besides clothes and miscellaneous items, it is highly unlikely that your package had anything valuable. Hank said, Why in the world would anybody steal my clothes? That's utterly ridiculous. Well, if you really want some new clothes, you could just ask the Academy. The uniforms are free, and since you're famous, the Academy might even give you some money to buy more clothes. Where do I go to get these free uniforms? Hank pointed at the large map on the wall and said, That's a map of the Academy. Find the administration hall and order your uniforms there. Leo looked at the map intensively for a couple of moments, memorizing the map and all of its details. All right, I know where to go. Thank you for your help. Leo left the dorm shortly after to order some uniforms at the administration hall. Once there, Leo spoke to one of the workers there for help. Fortunately, since Leo's information was still in the Academy's database, they were able to give him 4 sets of uniforms on the spot. Anything else I can help you with? Well, to tell you the truth, all of my clothes have been stolen recently, so besides these uniforms, I don't have anything else to wear, not even pajamas. Fortunately, I was told that I could receive some financial help here. I see. Actually, while we do give financial help to our students, you probably won't be needing that. Huh? Why not? I have no money right now. You see, when you died, the Academy had seized all of your wealth, which is a normal practice, by the way. However, since you didn't actually die, you can naturally take back what originally belonged to you, and this includes your artifacts and whatnot. I'm pretty sure the Academy is already in the process of doing so, since you're popular. Would you like me to check? Please, Leo answered, his voice filled with anticipation. All right, give me a moment. The worker proceeded to type some stuff in his computer. A few moments later, he spoke, so the Academy has already returned all of your money. However, your artifacts will require a little longer due to some complications. I see. So how do I access my money? The Academy has its own banking system that is used by most of its students. According to your information, your money is also in this bank. In order to access it, you just need to visit the bank. However, it's already closed for the day, so you'll have to go tomorrow when it opens at 7 in the morning. I understand. Thank you for taking the time to help me. Leo returned to his room shortly after. Man, I cannot wait to visit the bank tomorrow. Since the old Leo was very strong, he should have plenty of money. Leo entered the bed filled with excitement for tomorrow. I wouldn't count too much on it, Lilith suddenly said. Huh? What makes you say that? While it's true that the old Leo was very wealthy from hunting monsters and vampires, he would use most of his wealth to improve himself, so I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't much money left. Truly wealthy people won't be broke, no matter how much money they spend. Lilith chuckled. You'd be surprised at how easy it is to spend all of your money on artifacts. Even E-rank artifacts can easily cost up to 6 digits. I get it, so stop ruining my excitement. We'll just have to see for ourselves tomorrow if I can afford new clothes with the old Leo's money. Leo went to sleep shortly after. The following morning, Leo left the dorm and headed to the bank 15 minutes before they even opened. After waiting outside the bank for 15 minutes, Leo became the first student to enter the bank that day. I'm here to access my bank account, Leo said in a confident manner. The worker there looked at him and said, Go ahead and press your hand against the scanner in front of you. We'll need to confirm your identity first. Leo's eyes widened with shock. My hand? Don't tell me they require fingerprints? Damn, I didn't think it would come to this. Leo cried inwardly. Looks like it won't be as easy as you thought. Lilith chuckled. Leo glanced at her with narrowed eyes. This vampire ghost. She definitely knew about this beforehand, yet she didn't even bother warning me. What's wrong? The worker behind the desk asked Leo when he only stood there in silence. Why, you see, I have amnesia, so I don't remember how things work here. Amnesia? Then you must be Sword Emperor Leo. I have heard about you, the worker said with a smile. And he continued, in order to access your bank information and withdraw or deposit money, we must verify your identity even if we know your face. After all, we cannot just rely on a person's face in a world where people can disguise themselves with magic, right? Huh, such a magic spell exists. Leo was speechless. Of course, although they're quite rare, there are magic artifacts with the ability to change a person's appearance out there. Leo suddenly recalled what happened with his stolen package and wondered if someone had accepted his package using his face. If they can change their appearance, won't that apply to their fingerprints and such? Leo then asked, Haha, of course not. There are no magic artifacts out there with such power and accuracy. The best they can do is change their face, voice, and their body. Things such as their fingerprints and their blood type cannot be altered. I see. Leo swallowed nervously. Since I'm technically Leo, that means I should have the same fingerprints as the Leo of this world, right? Leo thought to himself, what will happen if my fingerprints don't match? That would be problematic. However, they would be suspicious of me if I just turn around now. Under such a dilemma, Leo decided to just hope for the best and pressed his hand onto the scanner in front of him. Leo could feel his heart throbbing like drums as he waited for the scanner to scan his fingerprints. A moment later, okay, I have confirmed your identity, Leo. You may now access your bank account. The worker said to him. It worked. Leo cried out in relief inwardly. Leo proceeded to take a look at his bank account. $500,000. Leo was ecstatic when he saw the amount of digits in his bank account. In his previous world, $500,000 was enough to buy an entire house, and a pretty good one in some places. Wow, it's worse than I thought. However, Lilith appeared to be disappointed by the result, and she continued, that's barely enough to buy a normal D rank artifact. I'm not going to buy any artifacts. I just need some money for clothes. Leo responded to her inside his head. Sometime later, Leo asked, by the way, do you guys offer debit cards? Yes, we do. Can they be used outside of the academy? Of course. Would you like one? Please. Leo nodded. Give me a minute. The worker went away for a few minutes before returning with a red card. You'll have to set a new PIN for that card. Insert that card in the slot beside the scanner and type your desired PIN when it appears on the screen. Leo followed the instructions. All done. You may now use that card as you see fit. Thank you. Leo left the bank shortly after with a blissful look on his face. You know, you're technically stealing a dead person's money with identity fraud. Lilith reminded him. Shut up. It's not like I'm going to spend it all. I am merely spending just enough to get some clothes. What are you going to do, get a job? Students are not allowed to have jobs in case you didn't know. Lilith said, I know. This was also the case back in my world. With that being said, students could earn money through exams in my old world, meaning the better your test results, the more money you can receive. Does it work like that in this place as well? Sort of. However, instead of tests, you'll get paid a fixed amount based on your school ranking. School ranking? How does that work? It's quite simple, actually. You just have to fight, and if you defeat someone with a higher rank than you, you'll get to take that rank and push everyone below you back one rank. I figure it would be something like that. It's a magic school, after all. Leo sighed. By the way, what was Leo's rank before? She calmly responded. This might surprise you, but Leo was only ranked 69. Huh? I thought he was one of the strongest in the academy. Leo raised an eyebrow after hearing this information. He was, but you can only take someone's rank through official matches. If you win an unauthorized fight, you won't take their rank, and Leo was someone who mostly fought in unauthorized matches, meaning that his rank would rarely rise. Not that he cared about it anyway. After all, he earned most of his money hunting monsters and vampires as an adventurer. Adventurer? This kind of profession exists in this world, too. Leo mumbled in surprise. Yes, and it's a very popular one at that since students are allowed to be adventurers. Let me guess, there are also adventurers guilds and such. You seem very knowledgeable in this aspect. Lilith said, well, it's a very common trope in my world. They exist in almost every fantasy fiction in existence. Anyways, tell me more about the adventurers in this world. Sure. Lilith proceeded to explain to him about the adventurers of this world while Leo went to get some breakfast before heading to the training center. At 9, Leo met up with Miss Camille outside the training center. Why are you dressed like that? I rarely see you without your white coat. Leo asked Miss Camille, who was dressed casually, almost like she was going on a date. I didn't tell you? We'll be spending our time outside the academy today. You did not, Leo sighed. Well, now you know. Go change into something that's not your school uniform. I don't want people to recognize you, she then said. Unfortunately, I don't have any casual clothes. Besides my school uniforms and some workout clothes that I got for free, I don't have anything else. Some bastard stole the old Leo's stuff. Miss Camille sighed. Fine, let's go buy you some clothes. There's a shopping mall in the academy that we can go to. All right, Leo nodded. There was also a shopping mall in his old world, so he was quite familiar with it. Sometime later, they arrived at the mall, but looked nothing like the one in Leo's memories. Let's be quick with your shopping. We don't have unlimited time because we actually have an appointment with someone. I understand. I'll go grab something really quick. Wait, do you even have any money? Miss Camille suddenly asked him. Leo smiled and said in a prideful voice, Don't worry, I can pay for my own stuff. Aren't you embarrassed of saying that when it's not even your money? Lilith suddenly said, Aren't you being awfully snarky today? Leo mumbled in a low voice. You do remember that I cannot leave the school premise, right? That means I won't be able to be by your side. She reminded him. Oh, right. But there's nothing I can do about that. And it's not like I can refuse Miss Camille, so you'll have to wait until I come back. You better tell me everything when you come back. Every last detail. Lilith exclaimed. If I remember them, sure. Sometime later, Leo entered the nearest clothing store he could find and quickly picked a plain black t-shirt, as well as a pair of black sweatpants. After paying for them, he immediately changed into his new clothes in the changing room. Let's go now, Miss Camille said to him afterward. What about my school uniform? Just throw it out. It's all worn out, and uniforms are free, she casually said. What? But it's the only thing I brought with me from my old world. There's no way I can throw it out. How bothersome. Give them to me. Miss Camille gestured for them. Leo handed them to her the next moment, and she proceeded to throw it inside her spatial storage. There, let's go now, or we'll really be late. Leo nodded and followed Miss Camille to the school entrance. Although teachers aren't required to sign out whenever they leave the school premises, Leo had to do so because he was still a student. Once that was all done, Miss Camille took Leo to her personal car. You own the same car as the you from my world, Leo said to her as he casually took a seat beside the driver's seat in a single smooth action, almost as though he's done this many times before. Miss Camille narrowed her eyes at Leo for a brief moment, but she didn't say anything. Once they were on the road, Leo asked, So, where are we going? The Adventurers Guild. The Adventurers Guild? Why are we going there? Leo asked. Oh, you know of the Adventurers Guild? Did they exist in your world as well? Only in fantasy novels and such. I learned about their existence here not long ago. You want to become strong fast, right? Becoming an adventurer will help you achieve that. Are you telling me to fight monsters? I can't even fight with the humans in this world, and you're already throwing me at monsters? There should be a limit to how fast we do certain things. Fighting monsters is a lot easier than fighting humans. You'll learn that very soon. Unlike humans, most monsters have little to zero intelligence, so they operate merely on instincts, which will limit their movements and actions. Also, it's not like I'm going to make you fight monsters right away. You still need some experience. The real reason we're going to the Adventurers Guild today is to meet with a certain adventurer. He's known as Sword King Chrome, and he's an A-rank adventurer. He will also be your teacher for today and tomorrow. Half an hour later, Miss Camille parked the car. Before we enter the Adventurers Guild, I want you to wear this necklace. Miss Camille suddenly handed him a silver necklace. What's this? It's a D-rank artifact that changes your face and voice. You'll be known as Leon outside the academy. This way, you can train without constantly worrying about others. I have already created a face for you, so you just need to activate it with your mana. Leo swallowed nervously before asking her. Miss Camille, I won't be angry, so can you tell me the truth? Were you the one who stole my package using my face? Thud. Miss Camille suddenly bonked his head with her fists. What am I going to do with your clothes? Are you mocking me? I was only joking with you. God, that really hurts. What if you damaged my brain just now? Leo activated the artifact a moment later. What the heck? I look like a freaking playboy with this face and hairstyle, Leo said after taking a look at his new face in the mirror. His slick black hair had turned dark blonde, and his eyes became hazel. Hell, even my voice sounds so weird. Is this the type of man you're into, Miss Camille? I picked that because I knew you would hate it. Now stop complaining and get out of the car. We're already 2 minutes late to the appointment. Leo sighed and left the car. Sometime later, he followed Miss Camille into this large building that looked nothing like the Adventurers Guild in the fantasy stories he would always read about. Compared to the tavern-like buildings in his imagination, the Adventurers Guild in this world looked more like office buildings. I have an appointment with Sword King Chrome. Welcome to our humble guild, Saintess. The person at the reception seemed to recognize Miss Camille. Did he just call her Saintess? Leo doubted his ears. Sword King Chrome is already waiting for you in room 3. I understand. Let's go, she said while looking at Leo. A few minutes later, they entered a room where a tall and bulky man could be seen standing by the window, silently staring outside with an intensive gaze. I apologize for the lateness despite being the one who arranged this meeting, Miss Camille said after entering the room. The bulky man turned around and stared at them with a serious look on his face. Leo swallowed nervously, wondering if he was going to start yelling at them. However, to his surprise, the man suddenly showed a humble and friendly smile. Don't worry about it. Since it's the Saintess who summoned me, I don't mind waiting even a few more hours. Ha ha ha. He then looked at Leo and continued. Is this Pipsqueak the one you want me to train? Yes, his name is Leon, and I want you to teach him how to use the sword. Leon, huh? Nice to meet you, Pipsqueak. You could just call me Chrome. I'm the best swordsman in the city. Since the Saintess has asked me to train you, I will make sure that you become the second best swordsman in the city, only below me. About the payment, I will definitely compensate you for your time and effort. Miss Camille suddenly said, I don't care about money. If you promise to have dinner with me, I will teach him for free. Then that wouldn't be free, and I'd rather pay you the money. Miss Camille said, instantly shooting him down without any hesitation. You're still as cold as ever, I see. Chrome laughed out loud. Anyways, let's start training now. Follow me, Leon, Chrome said to him. Leo nodded and followed him to a training room that was located underneath the guild. How much experience do you have with the sword? Chrome suddenly asked him. Not much, if any at all. I've only been swinging the sword aimlessly to increase my strength for the past week. Is that so? Give this sword a swing for me. Chrome suddenly tossed him a steel sword. Leo subconsciously went to catch the sword, but he immediately regretted his actions, as the sword weighed around 50 kilograms, which was more than he could handle. Huh? Chrome stared at Leo with wide eyes. His maximum is 40 kilograms, and he started training only a week ago, Miss Camille said. No way. He's weaker than I thought. Looks like we have a lot of work to do, Pipsqueak. Here, use this instead. Miss Camille handed Leo the sword that he trained with. Now that he has a sword that he can actually swing, Leo swung the sword a couple of times for Chrome. All right, you can stop now, Chrome said a few moments later, and he continued. Your form isn't bad for someone who just started a week ago. You must have spent a lot of time swinging the sword. You have no idea, Leo sighed. However, while your form is good, you lack every other aspect. Your sword swings feel empty. It lacks emotion and experience. And worst of all, it feels so damn weak. But don't worry, I will train you into a proper swordsman before the weekend ends. It's going to be difficult, but I won't let you quit even if you die. After all, my reputation is on the line here. I won't embarrass myself in front of the Saintess. Then I will leave you boys alone. Leon, I will come pick you up tomorrow, Miss Camille said. Leo looked at her with wide eyes. Chrome suddenly patted his back and said, Did you think you would be sleeping tonight? Sorry, but you're going to be sweating all night with me. Pipsqueak. You have got to be fucking kidding me, Leo muttered in a dumbfounded voice. Miss Camille smiled at the pain on his face and said, Good luck. I'll see you tomorrow. And without saying another word, she disappeared. Wow, I didn't think I would ever see the Saintess smile. What's your relationship with her? Chrome asked him after she left. She's like my guardian. By the way, why do you keep calling her Saintess? Leo finally got the chance to ask. You don't know? Should I know? Leo raised an eyebrow. Unbelievable. Chrome shook his head. Anyways, I would love to tell you about her, but we don't have the time. If I'm going to turn you into a proper swordsman in a day and a half, we'll need every minute we can get. I am now going to show you the basics of swordsmanship. Watch and learn. Chrome started dancing around the training room with a sword in his hand. Leo watched him intensively. A few minutes later, Chrome stopped his movements and said, What you just witnessed is a sword technique called Formless sword dance. It's one of the easiest sword techniques to learn, but also the hardest to master. There are a total of 99 different combos in this technique, but you will only be learning the first 10, which is more than enough to qualify you as a swordsman. Here were these. Chrome handed Leo 2 stamina and 2 strength bracelets. Once Leo wore the artifacts, Chrome officially started his hellish training, something that Leo will remember for the rest of his life. Less than 2 hours into training, Leo already collapsed 3 times. Wait, let me take a breath. I'm exhausted. Leo gasped for air as he laid on the cold, metal floor. Sure, go ahead and take as long as you need. However, just know that for every minute you take, I will increase the intensity of the training by another level. Chrome said in a cold voice. Compared to the friendly and humble character before training started, the current Chrome is like a beast who tortures humans for fun. When he heard such threatening words, Leo reluctantly forced himself back onto his feet and started swinging his sword again. However, a moment later, Wrong. Your elbow should be higher. Your sword's position is wrong. Chrome corrected Leo every time he made a mistake, even smacking him with a wooden sword for every single mistake. Shit, it feels like I'm being whipped with steel chains, even though he's clearly using a wooden sword. What kind of training is this? Even worse, he's not letting me drink any stamina potions when I am clearly exhausted. Why did I even agree to do this again? Leo screamed after being struck again. Clear your mind of unnecessary thoughts and focus on your sword and your movements, Chrome shouted afterward. Once Leo had truly exhausted the last drop of energy in his body an hour later, Chrome handed him a stamina potion and said, "Drink and stand back up." After chugging down the stamina potion in one motion, Leo stood back up and continued to train without waiting for his stamina to fully recover. This made Leo feel as though he was constantly exhausted, like he was always on the verge of collapsing. This pipsqueak. He has some amazing mental fortitude to endure all of this for so long. Chrome thought to himself, as he'd expected for Leo to give up an hour into their training. It's already been 5 hours since we started, yet he hasn't complained once. When my teacher used his training method on me for the first time, I gave up within half an hour and complained constantly. Once it was around 5 p.m., Chrome stopped Leo's training and said, "Hey, it's break time. Go get yourself something to eat, but don't eat too much, or you'll just throw everything up when you start training again. I'm too tired to move, and I'd rather just lie here and rest. Suit yourself. I'll be back in an hour," Chrome said to him before leaving. Meanwhile, Leo closed his eyes and fell asleep on the spot. An hour passed in the blink of an eye. When Chrome returned to the training room, he woke Leo from his nap, which felt like it had lasted only for a couple of seconds. The training resumed after that. Once Leo mastered all 10 combos by midnight, Chrome said to him, "Looks like you have some talent with the sword. I didn't think you'd learn all 10 combos so quickly. Since this is the case, I'll add 5 more combos for the heck of it." Leo wanted to complain, but he could feel himself improving, so he decided to keep his mouth shut. At 3 in the morning, when Leo mastered 5 more combos, Chrome handed him another stamina potion. "Before we start the next phase of training, I want you to recover fully," Chrome said. Leo almost cried after hearing these wonderful words. While Leo recovered, Chrome spoke to him. "So you want to know why Camille is known as the Saintess, right?" "Yes. That's because she is one of the strongest healers in this country. Her magic affinity for the light element is also insanely high. Before she became a nurse at the Four Witches Academy, she was an S-rank adventurer who has amassed a good amount of reputation and achievements. I don't know why she decided to become a nurse at that school, but she used to be a renowned adventurer before her retirement." Seriously? Leo listened to all of this information with a wide mouth. Isn't Miss Camille still in her 20s? How can she have achieved so much at such a young age? She's what most would call a prodigy. Some would even call her a monster. She also started her career as an adventurer at 11 years old. Wow, I see her in a new light now. Sometime later, Chrome picked up his sword again and said, "All right, break time is over. Let's start the second phase of your training." He pointed the sword at Leo and continued, "Although you may have mastered the 15 combos, you haven't truly perfected them yet. There's a difference between memorizing it and utilizing it. And in order for you to truly master it, you must gain experience through real combat. Therefore, you're going to be fighting me for the rest of your time here. And if you're thinking it's going to be easier than Phase 1, I have some bad news for you." Chrome suddenly emitted a powerful aura from his body, one that caused Leo to freeze in fear. What is this feeling? My instincts are telling me to run." Leo trembled nonstop. "Why are you standing there? Training has already started. Come at me if you don't want to die." Chrome suddenly roared as he rushed at Leo. Leo subconsciously swung the sword at Chrome, but it was easily blocked. "What the fuck was that lousy swing just now, huh? Did you already forget about everything you've learned today? Strike and defend with the Formless sword dance." "Yes." Leo gritted his teeth and tried his best to resist Chrome's pressure while also trying to use the Formless sword dance, but it was much easier said than done. Leo would not make any progress for half an hour, but he eventually got used to Chrome's pressure. "Good. Come at me like you want to kill me. I can see it in your eyes, killing intent." "Ha ha ha." Chrome appeared to be enjoying his training with Leo. Even though Leo was nowhere near strong enough to make him fight seriously, he admired Leo's persistence and dedication, something even many high-ranking adventurers lack. While Leo trained with Chrome, Miss Camille wandered the city for her own business. "Welcome to Potion Haven, Saintess. Are you here for more potions?" The shopkeeper asked Miss Camille, almost as though she was a frequent customer. "Yes, but give me 10 times the usual." "10 times? Do you plan on leaving the city?" "Sort of. Understand. Please give me a few minutes to prepare." While Miss Camille waited for the shopkeeper to return, she looked around the shop to see if there was anything else she needed. Once the shopkeeper returned, Miss Camille paid for the potions that ended up costing her $1 million. "Thank you for your business, as usual, Saintess. I hope this means that you're going to leave retirement and return to being an adventurer." The shopkeeper said, "What I'm currently involved in is much more dangerous than being an adventurer," she suddenly said. "Huh?" The shopkeeper stared at her with wide eyes. "See you later." However, Miss Camille left without explaining any further. Sometime later, Miss Camille entered another building, and this one looked much more luxurious than the potion store. "Welcome back to the Mirage Auction House, Saintess." A man in a black suit greeted Miss Camille shortly after she entered the building. "Anything decent today?" she asked him in a calm voice. "Here is a list of today's artifacts. We have an A-rank artifact being auctioned in about an hour." The man handed her a pamphlet. After a quick glance at the artifacts, Miss Camille turned around and walked out without saying another word. "See you next time, Saintess." The man didn't mind her actions at all and even bowed to her. The following day, Miss Camille went to check up on Leo 2 hours before the end of his training. "He's probably no better than a corpse right now," she thought to herself as she made her way to their training room. After entering the room, Miss Camille's eyes widened with surprise when she saw the scenery inside. "He's actually keeping up with Chrome's training." She cried inwardly when she saw that Leo was sparring with Chrome. Not wanting to disturb them, Miss Camille stood at the door and waited for them to finish. After 2 hours of nonstop fighting, Chrome said, "All right, we're done with training. You can stop now." However, almost as though he didn't hear Chrome, Leo continued to swing his sword. "Wake up!" Chrome bonked Leo on the head with the wooden sword, knocking him down. After getting knocked down, Leo did not get back up. "Oh shit." Chrome quickly went to check on Leo. "Good, he's still alive," he sighed in relief. "What happened here?" Miss Camille approached them and asked. Chrome looked at her and smiled. "You bought me one hell of a monster. And I'm not talking about his strength or talents. He actually endured the whole training. If he can continue to endure my training, he'll easily reach my level within a few months. So you think he's talented with the sword? Although he's no prodigy like you, he's got good potential." Miss Camille couldn't help but smile after hearing Chrome's words, and she said, "He might not seem like it now, but he's definitely a prodigy, perhaps even a monster." "Huh?" Chrome raised his eyebrows in a questioning manner. "You'll find out soon. I plan on making him an adventurer in 2 weeks." "An adventurer, huh?" After pondering for a moment, Chrome spoke. "Hey, Saintess, I know our agreement only lasts until today, but I would like to continue training him for the next 2 weeks if you don't mind. I won't ask for any payments." "Your reasoning?" she asked. "This pipsqueak has piqued my interest." He smiled. "I won't say anything. Leon can decide for himself once he wakes up." "All right." Chrome nodded. Sometime later, Miss Camille approached Leo's unconscious body on the floor and picked him up, carrying him like a princess. "I will carry him for you," Chrome quickly said. "It's fine, I'll do it." Miss Camille turned around and started walking towards the door. Chrome narrowed his eyes at them and suddenly asked, "Hey, Saintess, if you don't mind me asking, what's your relationship with this fellow? He looks a little too young to be your boyfriend, unless you prefer them like that. Do you want to die?" She turned to glare at him with killing intent. "I'm only joking with you." Miss Camille coldly snorted. "He's just a lost child that I happened to come across and somehow ended up taking care of. There's nothing more than that between us." "I see. Sorry for sticking my nose into your business." Chrome bowed to her and remained bowed until she disappeared from the place. After leaving the Adventurers Guild with Leo still unconscious, Miss Camille carried him back to her car before driving back to the academy. Right before they returned to the academy, Miss Camille made sure to remove the necklace she gave Leo. What happened to him? The person at the gate asked about Leo when they arrived at the gate. His injuries acted up, causing him to lose consciousness. Miss Camille casually explained. Does he need medical attention? We should probably Never mind. The guard suddenly recalled Miss Camille's background and stopped his sentence midway. Can you help him check in? I'll bring him back to his room. Miss Camille said. I will. Miss Camille proceeded to carry Leo back to his room within the academy. Once inside his room, she brought him to the bedroom and placed him on the bed. However, since Leo had been unconscious since his training, his body reeked of sweat. Miss Camille rubbed her eyes and sighed before stripping him down to his underwear and wiping his body with cleaning wipes. Meanwhile, Lilith watched the whole thing from beginning to end with a wide grin on her face. Once everything was done, Miss Camille left Leo alone to rest. The following morning, Leo woke up with intense pain all over his body, feeling as though he'd been hit by a truck. Damn it, what is this pain? Good morning, Leo. Lilith greeted him with a smile. Huh, Lilith. Leo was surprised to see her. He started looking at his surroundings the next moment. I'm back inside my room. How? The pretty nurse brought you back since you were unconscious. Miss Camille? Wait, that means... Yup, she carried you like a princess. I almost couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it. Lilith laughed out loud. Leo's face flushed with redness after realizing that Miss Camille had carried him back to the academy from the Adventurers Guild. Oh, are you blushing? Don't be, because that's not even the best part. Lilith suddenly said. What do you mean? Leo had a bad feeling about this, but he still asked regardless. After she carried you back to your room, she even wiped your body clean with cleaning wipes. What? Leo cried out loud, his face turning as red as a tomato. However, before Leo could settle down, Lilith said, By the way, it's almost time for class. You should still take a shower before you leave, though. Leo sighed and went to take a quick shower before going to his class. I bet a lot of students saw Miss Camille carrying me. They're definitely going to bully me with that. Actually, you're quite lucky. Only the person at the gate and a couple of students in your dorm saw it. Even if one person saw it, that's still one too many. Leo sighed. By the way, what happened while you're outside? How come you came back unconscious? Lilith asked. Long story short, Miss Camille took me to the Adventurers Guild, where I trained with some crazy bastard until I dropped dead. Sounds like fun. Fun. You're out of your mind if you think that kind of training is fun. It was basically torture. However, if I have to be honest, I think I benefited greatly from it. So, I won't complain too much. Sometime later, Leo arrived at his classroom and proceeded to spend half of the day listening to lectures. After all of the classes ended, Leo made his way to the training center, even though Miss Camille didn't tell him to do so. Sure enough, Miss Camille was waiting for him outside the building. How do you feel? She asked him. I have never felt worse. My whole body screams with pain every time I move my body. I might even have a few broken bones, he sighed. Your bones are fine. I checked. Anyways, I have something to tell you. Chrome would like to continue training you for another 2 weeks. I'll let you decide whether you want to keep training with him or not. Leo's jaw dropped after hearing this news. 2 weeks. I'll definitely die if I have to train like that for 2 more weeks. Then I'll tell him that you'd refused. Wait. Who said anything about refusing? Leo suddenly said. Oh, Miss Camille was a little surprised. While it's true that his training method is very painful, I have to admit that it's very efficient and promising. In just 2 days, I have learned how to use the sword properly. If I fought with my classmates in my current state, I should have a decent chance of defeating them. If I continue to train with Chrome, I will definitely be able to defeat Kane. So you're going to continue training with him? Miss Camille asked for confirmation. Yes. He nodded. I understand. Then I will let Chrome know of your decision. Oh, wait. But this means that I will have to leave the academy every day to go to the Adventurers Guild. I would walk there if I could, but that would waste a lot of time. Miss Camille couldn't help but smile inwardly, seeing how Leo was being so considerate of her. I don't mind driving you there, she said a moment later. Are you sure? I'm still going to be with you even if you train here. It won't make that much of a difference. All right, then I'll bother you a little more and ask you to drive me to the Adventurers Guild. Go get some more rest today and go buy some more clothes. We'll start going to the Adventurers Guild tomorrow. Yes. Leo left to buy more clothes while Miss Camille contacted Chrome about Leo's decision. I see. It appears that I am still underestimating that pipsqueak. I didn't think he would actually agree to it. I'll reward him for exceeding my expectations by increasing his training. Ha ha ha. Chrome laughed out loud. The following day, Miss Camille drove Leo to the Adventurers Guild for another day of training. A few more days later, Leo finally managed to increase his magic spell Dark Barrier to Mastery Rank D by training his magic before going to train with Chrome, completing his quest. Leo swallowed nervously as he waited for his new magic affinity to awaken. Ding! You have awakened Wind Magic Affinity. Wind Magic Affinity F. Wind Magic Affinity? Leo muttered the result. He was neither happy nor disappointed with the results, mostly because he didn't know much about wind magic in the first place. Wind magic. Will it allow me to fly like in fantasy novels? Leo wondered to himself, as this was the first thing that came to mind. If he could fly in the sky using magic, that would make traveling much more convenient. Leo looked at the magic shop after the purchase. Magic shop. Shop level 1. Awaken Random Affinity, 300 MP. Increase Mana Capacity, 5 MP. Increase Magic Power, 5 MP. Improve Magic Affinity. Total MP 1. Shop Experience, 10 out of 100. Leo's eyes widened when he saw the new prize for Awaken Random Affinity. 300 magic points. Such a tremendous increase. Although he understood why the price had increased, he was still baffled by it. Fortunately, the rewards I get for completing quests seem to get higher every time I finish one. While 300 magic points may be too expensive for me right now, I should have no problem paying for it in the future. Since it was too expensive to awaken another magic affinity right now, Leo has decided to focus on the other options, such as increased magic power and increased mana capacity. After getting out of the bathroom, Leo asked, "Hey Lilith, since you don't want to teach me Tier 2 magic spells, why don't you teach me some Tier 1 magic spells? Do you know any for wind magic?" Huh? Why do you suddenly want to learn wind magic? If you don't have any wind magic affinity, you won't be able to use wind magic. Actually, I have wind magic affinity, but it's rank F. I found out about this very recently. Seriously? You have both dark and wind magic affinity. Is that so surprising? Leo raised an eyebrow. Of course. It's uncommon to have more than one magic affinity. In fact, only 1 out of 1 million magicians have 2 different magic affinities. I see. Anyways, do you have any wind magic that you can teach me? Lilith pondered for a moment before nodding. This one should benefit you the most. Leo stared at the green magic circle on Lilith's palms and memorized it within seconds. You have learned the magic spell, Feather Step, Affinity Wind, Tier 1, Mana 5, Mastery Rank F. Feather Step? What does it do? It basically makes your body as light as a feather, allowing you to travel faster and with more stamina efficiency. Oh, that's pretty neat, Leo said, and he continued. Now that I think about it, I don't know much about magic affinities. Each element should have their advantages and disadvantages, right? And how many different magic affinities are out there? Yes, that's correct. Each magic affinity has their own strengths and weaknesses. For example, dark magic specializes in destruction but requires more mana than usual, while wind magic specializes in support and speed but lacks firepower. That's pretty interesting, Leo mumbled as he absorbed the information. Lilith continued. As for the number of magic affinities out there, there's actually a lot, so I'm not going to name them all. Magic affinities are split into 2 categories, main and advanced. For example, water magic affinity is considered to be a main affinity, while ice magic affinity is an advanced affinity that is a superior version of water magic affinity. If you have ice magic affinity, you can use both ice and water magic, but if you have water magic affinity, you can still use ice magic, but won't be nearly as powerful, and it will also be much harder to use while requiring much more mana. Water, fire, wind, and earth are all main affinities. Only 1% of magicians are born with advanced affinities, so they're quite rare. What about the light and dark? What is their superior version? Leo then asked. That would be holy and chaos magic. There are also other magic affinities, such as lightning, space, and gravity. However, not all magic affinities have a superior version. I see. Magic is more complex than I initially thought. How interesting. Leo mumbled to himself. Space magic? Is that spatial storage magic used by Miss Camille considered space magic? He suddenly asked. Yes, it is. So, Miss Camille also has two magic affinities, light and space. How cool. Not necessarily. There are artifacts that can allow people to use certain magic, so not everyone who can use such magic has space affinity. In fact, most of them are definitely using artifacts since they're pretty common in this world. Sometime later, Leo asked, by the way, how come you know wind magic as well? Do you also have wind magic affinity? Nah, I just enjoy learning all sorts of magic even if I cannot use them. It's a hobby of mine. That's pretty neat. Leo said. Lilith rubbed her nose in a prideful manner. With that being said, can you teach me more wind magic? Are there any wind magic that allows me to fly? Leo suddenly asked. Fly? There is flight magic, but it's a tier 4 spell. Tier 4? Got it. Although I cannot learn it now. I am satisfied just knowing it exists. Leo said excitedly. The following day, at the Adventurers Guild, Chrome said, Leon, it's been a week since our first meeting. During this time, you have managed to master 20 different combos, and you even managed to land a clean strike on my body yesterday. I believe it's about time we start phase 3 of your training. There's a phase 3? Leo raised his eyebrows. This is his first time hearing about it. Of course, while you're pretty decent at fighting in close-quarters combat, you have no experience with fighting opponents that can attack you from a distance like magicians. Therefore, you're going to start fighting against a magician for your last week of training. Oh, I've been wanting to fight a magician for quite some time now, Leo said in an excited manner. Who am I going to fight? Me. A familiar voice responded to his question. Leo turned around to see Miss Camille standing behind him with a calm look on her face. As seriously, Leo stared at her with wide eyes. Dead serious. Chrome nodded with a serious look on his face. Aren't you like one of the strongest adventurers out there? Even your weakest magic is probably strong enough to erase my existence completely. Leo exclaimed. Don't worry, I know how to control my mana output. You won't die even if I hit you directly with my magic, but it's definitely going to hurt worse than being struck by a wooden sword. That doesn't make me feel any better. Leo felt an urge to cry. Miss Camille suddenly extended her arms and summoned two beautiful but threatening golden spears made out of light in her grasp. Hey, wait a second. At least let me prepare. Leo cried out loud as he quickly positioned himself. Good luck, Leon. Chrome laughed out loud as he took a seat at the end of the room, turning into a spectator. Meanwhile, Miss Camille tossed one of the spears at Leo. The spear flew elegantly and quickly, but it was not at a speed that Leo couldn't see. Whoa! After narrowly dodging it, Leo immediately started rushing at Miss Camille. I got you. Leo swung his sword at her once he was close enough. Oh, I forgot to tell you, but most magicians know how to fight in close-quarters combat. Chrome suddenly shouted. Miss Camille blocked Leo's sword with her golden spear with ease. Then, using her free hand, she pointed her palm at his face before releasing another magic spell. Leo was unable to react to this attack and was immediately sent flying to the edge of the room. Damn it, that really hurts like hell. Leo started touching his face in a panic, as he was worried that some of his face might have been blown off after that attack, not to mention the burning sensation on his face. Never lose your focus when you're fighting a magician. Miss Camille warned him right before she sent the last gold spear flying. Shit. Leo subconsciously moved the sword in front of his body. Although he'd barely managed to block the spear with his sword, the impact had still sent him flying all the way to the wall. Are you really a healer? Leo shouted in pain as he quickly got back to his feet to prepare for Miss Camille's next magic attack. And for the next few hours, Miss Camille would spam magic attacks to attack Leo without any breaks, almost as though she had infinite mana. At the end of their training, Leo collapsed on the floor with pain in almost every part of his body. Miss Camille is even more ruthless than Chrome when it comes to training. Leo sighed inwardly. How does it feel to fight a magician? Chrome poked his body on the floor with a wooden sword. It feels like shit, like I'm fighting someone with guns, using nothing but a stick. And how are you able to use magic nonstop, Miss Camille? Do you have unlimited mana? Or something? There's no such thing as unlimited mana. I only have about half of my mana left now. Half? Even though you've been spamming magic spells for the last few hours. Leo was in disbelief. I've only used low-tier magic spells, after all. Sometime later, Leo chugged a stamina and energy potion, allowing him to move again. Since you'll be training with the Saints for the next 7 days, I guess you won't need to come back to the Adventurers Guild. I have also stayed here longer than planned, so I will be leaving as well. Chrome suddenly said, Huh? You're leaving already? I still have a lot to learn from you, though. Leo said, Don't worry, it's not like we'll never see each other again. I will come back in a month, and when I do, I want to see your improvements. Here, Chrome suddenly handed Leo a manual. The entire Formless sword dance technique is written in here, so you can learn the rest of it even without me. If you need some visual demonstration, you can go watch them on the internet. There are plenty of people showing off the technique out there. Seriously? I thought this was some kind of secret technique that only a select few can learn. Leo sighed. Ha. You wish. If you want to learn some secret sword technique, go join a noble family or something. I'm just an adventurer. There's no way I would know something like that. With that being said, the Formless sword dance is still one of the most powerful sword techniques out there, so you shouldn't underestimate it just because it's not a secret technique. Chrome left the Adventurers Guild shortly after. Shouldn't we return to the academy too? Leo asked. No, there's still something I want you to do here. Miss Camille shook her head. What? He raised an eyebrow. You're going to register as an adventurer so that you can leave the city and fight monsters. Are you seriously telling me to fight monsters already? Not yet, but you will be in a week. If you're going to live in this world, you'll need to earn money, and as a student of the academy, you're only allowed to work as an adventurer. Furthermore, this is the fastest way for you to grow stronger. Leo sighed before asking, You'll be out there with me when I fight monsters, right? Naturally, at least until I am confident that you're strong enough to protect yourself. Sometime later, they went upstairs to the lobby of the Adventurers Guild. He's here to register as an adventurer. Miss Camille said to the worker behind the desk. Understand. Please fill out this form. The worker handed Leo a piece of paper. Name, Leon. Age, 18. DOB, April 29th, 2022. Blood type, O+. What should I write for my address? Same with my emergency contact. Leo asked Miss Camille. She didn't respond. Instead, she grabbed his pen and wrote it by herself. This is a few blocks away from where Miss Camille from my world lives, Leo thought to himself after seeing the address. Miss Camille also added herself as his emergency contact. After filling in some basic information, Leo signed it and handed it back to the worker. Everything looks great. Do you have a sponsor? The worker suddenly asked him. And what? Leo raised his eyebrow. A sponsor is someone who supports your career as an adventurer by offering you artifacts, equipment, money, and other resources. In return for sponsoring you, they will also receive recognition when you accomplish something, and they can even request for a percentage of your earnings as an adventurer. The worker explained. I see. Leo mumbled to himself. He then looked at Miss Camille and opened his mouth. Do you want? No. Miss Camille refused before he could even finish his sentence. And she continued, A sponsor is not something you can take lightly. They must be trustworthy and have the capability to help you grow as an adventurer. That sounds exactly like you, Leo calmly said. I trust you, and you've been a great help to me. However, she still shook her head. I have never sponsored anyone before, and I don't plan on becoming one. You should find someone else. You'll probably have a lot of offers in the future, too. But you're the only reason I am becoming an adventurer. I won't ask for anything from you, and you can even have all of my achievements. Please? I want to repay you for all of your help." Leo stared at her with puppy eyes. Miss Camille's eyebrows twitched after seeing his expression. The old Leo would also resort to these eyes when he really wanted her help. Miss Camille rubbed her eyes and sighed. "Fine, I'll be your sponsor for now. You better not do anything that will ruin my reputation." "I won't. Then I will put the Saintess as Leon's sponsor," the worker said. Once all of the paperwork was done, the worker continued. "Do you wish to take the practical exam now?" "I need to take an exam to become an adventurer?" Leo raised his eyebrows. "Of course. We need to make sure that you're qualified to fight monsters before we allow you outside the city, or we're just sending you to your death." "He will take the examination next week," Miss Camille said. "I understand. Then I will just put him into the database for now." Leo followed Miss Camille back to the academy shortly after. The old Leo was also an adventurer, right? "What rank was he?" Leo asked in the car. "He was a C-rank adventurer." "Huh, only C-rank? I thought he would be an S-rank adventurer like you, considering how strong you make him sound. You'll need more than strength to increase your adventurer rank. You need to do guild missions and other stuff that increase your reputation. And in terms of strength, Leo could probably defeat most newly promoted A-rank adventurers, but there are many A-rank adventurers that are stronger than him, like Chrome, so he's between B-rank and A-rank. However, you have to remember that Leo was only 18 years old. To have such strength at his age is very rare and an impressive feat." "I see." Once they returned to the academy, Miss Camille said to him, "I will see you tomorrow at the training center tomorrow after school." "Okay, good night." After returning to his room, Lilith immediately started speaking to him. "What did you do outside today? More training?" "Even so, I still want to hear it." "Yeah, but instead of fighting Chrome, I had to fight Miss Camille today. They said that I needed experience fighting magicians." "That makes sense, especially since your opponent, Kane, is a magician. I also found out that I will be hunting monsters outside the city next week." He sighed. "Oh, so you're going to become an adventurer?" "Yes." "Is the examination hard?" "I don't know, since I never took the examination. However, it shouldn't be that hard. Most students in this academy would qualify as an adventurer, so you should be fine as well. You should have more confidence in yourself. Although I don't know how strong you've become, I can tell that you're a lot stronger than before. You'll realize your true strength when you fight another student, probably. There's only 2 weeks left before my fight with Kane." "Huh? Time sure passes quickly when you're focused on something." Leo fell asleep shortly after. The following day, Leo met up with Miss Camille at the training center for another day of training, and they would continue this for the rest of the week. "How do you feel? Are you confident in fighting other magicians now?" Miss Camille asked Leo at the end of their week-long training. "Probably," Leo responded as he laid on the floor in a puddle of sweat. "I mean, you're the only magician I've fought in the past week. The others will surely have a different fighting style, so I'm a little worried about fighting other magicians." "Why would you need to fight other magicians if you already have someone like me? You're just going to be training with someone much weaker. Although every magician has their own style of fighting, they won't differ from each other that much besides what magic spells they use. If you can handle me, you'll be able to handle other magicians. In fact, you're overestimating the students in this academy. Forget it. There's no point explaining it to you. You will understand what I mean once you actually fight other magicians. Anyways, we're going back to the Adventurers Guild tomorrow for your examination. Meet me at the parking lot like usual." "Wait, before you go, I have a question." "What is it?" "I want to start learning Tier 2 magic spells soon. How can I tell if I'm ready for Tier 2 magic spells?" Leo asked. Miss Camille narrowed her eyes at Leo, and she proceeded to ponder in silence. A few moments later, she asked him, "How many black bullets can you use before you run out of mana?" Leo thought about it for a moment before answering, "About 40. After training his magic every day for almost 3 weeks, his mana capacity has increased to 420. Under normal circumstances, there are only 2 things preventing someone from learning a higher tier magic spell: a lack of mana capacity and a weak magic affinity. For example, most Tier 2 magic spells can be learned by people with a rank F magic affinity, and while they can learn Tier 3 magic spells, they won't be able to activate them due to their lack of affinity. Tier 2 magic spells also require much more mana than Tier 1 magic spells. And if you try to use magic that requires more mana than what you have, you'll immediately enter mana fatigue and fall unconscious, which is incredibly dangerous. Most people start learning Tier 2 magic spells half a year after they started learning Tier 1 magic spells, but it has only been 3 weeks since you started learning magic. Half a year? That's too long, Leo exclaimed. For normal people, that is. Since your magic talent is quite high, you should be able to start learning Tier 2 magic much sooner. Miss Camille said, and she continued after a pause. If you could defeat Kane flawlessly, I will teach you a Tier 2 magic spell. Deal. Then I will see you tomorrow after school hours. Once Miss Camille left the training center, Leo returned to his room. After coming out of the bathroom, Lilith suddenly approached him and said, Leo, I have great news for you. Oh, let's hear it. I have decided to teach you a Tier 2 magic spell. Huh? Leo raised his eyebrows. Why aren't you more excited? You wanted to learn them since last week, right? Lilith was puzzled by his lack of reaction. I mean, I am just a little suspicious. What do you mean? Why would that be suspicious? Lilith's face stiffened. Suddenly telling me that you'll teach me Tier 2 magic right after I asked Miss Camille to teach me. That's too much of a coincidence. It's not like I'm trying to be the first one to teach you Tier 2 magic spells or anything like that. Okay. I just truly believe that you're ready to learn them. Lilith explained to him in an unconvincing voice. Whatever. I don't really care about your reasoning, but if you're really going to teach me a Tier 2 magic spell, I won't refuse. Leo said, Great. Then feast your eyes upon this magic circle. Lilith created a red magic circle that was slightly larger and looked way more complex and detailed than the magic circles for Tier 1 magic spells. Let's see how long will it take for him to memorize a Tier 2 magic. Okay, I am done, Leo suddenly said. No way. Really? That only took a couple seconds longer than memorizing Tier 1 magic circles. Lilith's mouth was wide open from shock, as she had expected him to take at least a few minutes with this Tier 2 magic circle. You have learned the magic spell, Mana Drain. Mana Drain. Affinity, Dark. Tier 2. Mana. Not applicable. Mastery rank F. You have completed a quest. +1, 600 magic experience, +8 magic points. Huh? Mana Drain? Does this mean I can use this to steal mana from others? Leo asked in a surprised voice, as he didn't think that he'd get such a useful magic spell so early. After all, this kind of powerful magic should be reserved for higher tier magic spells. That is exactly what it does. However, you should only use this magic when you're alone. Lilith said. Why? Leo had to ask. Because Mana Drain is considered vampiric magic, and it's also considered forbidden magic, mostly because it's abused by vampires around the world. If you use this magic in public, they will mistake you for a vampire and hunt you like one. What? Forbidden magic? Why would you teach me something so dangerous? I can't even use this, Leo exclaimed after learning the truth. You can definitely use it, as long as you don't let others find out. Also, even though it is considered forbidden magic, that's only because it's abused by vampires that mainly use dark magic. It used to be very popular and widely used during ancient times. The only downside to this magic is that you must touch the target in order to steal their mana. I have to admit, even though it's forbidden magic, it's a very useful magic that allows me to replenish my mana without using mana potions. This will definitely save me a lot of money. Leo thought to himself, is there a limit to how much I can use this magic spell? He then asked, as many times as your body can handle, since it uses your stamina instead of mana to activate. I see. And how much mana can I steal with this magic spell? It depends on your mastery rank. Since your mana capacity is still very small, you should be able to completely recover your mana with a single mana drain, even if you just learned it. That's great. Even though it's a very dangerous magic spell with a lot of risks, I'm glad that I learned it. Leo said sometime later. Really? So you're not mad at me? Not really, but you should really tell me about the magic spell before you teach it to me starting now. Of course, I am also at fault for learning it without asking any questions. I'm still too hasty when it comes to learning magic. Leo said. He doesn't mind learning vampiric magic. Lilith smiled inwardly after seeing Leo's reaction. Although she won't admit it, she was actually testing him by teaching him mana drain, and the result was much better than she'd hoped. Anyways, I'm going to sleep, Leo said to her a moment later. All right, I'm going to wander the academy tonight and see if there is anything interesting happening, Lilith said before disappearing from his room. Once Lilith was gone, Leo opened the magic shop instead of sleeping. Since I have 9 magic points, I can afford one of these. Increase mana capacity, 5 MP. Increase magic power, 5 MP. Oh yeah, now that I also have wind magic affinity, I should see how much it will cost to upgrade it. Wind affinity, FE 20 MP. It's not as bad as I thought, but I still can't afford it. After pondering for some time, Leo decided to purchase mana capacity first. I will benefit more with a higher mana capacity right now, since I can use more magic and even learn higher tier magic spells with it. I'll increase my magic power after I complete the next quest and get more magic points. Confirm purchase increase mana capacity for 5 magic points. Confirm. Ding. You have purchased increase mana capacity from the magic shop. Your mana capacity has increased by 500. Mana. 920/920. After the purchase, Leo suddenly felt a burst of energy within his body. 500 mana. That's a lot more than I'd expected, and it only cost 5 magic points. Leo was pleasantly surprised by the results. However, when he looked at the magic shop again, the price of increased mana capacity had increased to 50 MP. Despite that, he was still satisfied with the results, as his mana capacity had basically doubled with the purchase. Leo fell asleep with a smile on his face shortly after. The following morning, Leo woke up earlier than usual to get some breakfast before making his way to his classroom. Good morning, Leo. His classmates greeted him with bright smiles. Morning. Leo returned their greetings with a smile of his own. Is it just me, or does Leo feel a lot different nowadays? He no longer looks as weak as when he first returned. His classmates mumbled to each other. His recovery is probably going well, so he gained some of his strength. Leo, how is your body feeling? One of the students decided to ask him. It's in a much better condition than it was 3 weeks ago, that's for sure. He smiled. That's great to hear, especially since your fight with Kane is next week. Do you think you can defeat Kane in your current state? Another student asked. Leo pondered for a moment before speaking. I won't know until I fight him, but I should be fine. However, to his surprise, the students all started laughing suddenly. Did I say something funny? He asked them. You always say that, but when the fight begins, you destroy your opponent before they can even cast a second magic spell. Even without your memories, you're still humble as ever. Is that so? Leo didn't know how to respond to such words, so he just kept quiet. Professor Jasmine entered the room shortly after and started their class. 7 boring hours later. This is all for today. Have a fun weekend. Jasmine dismissed the class afterward. Leo quickly organized his notes before leaving the classroom. However, on his way outside the school building, Leo was stopped in the hallway by someone with a familiar face. Hey Leo, I hope you haven't forgotten about our duel next week. It was Kane, and he was there to remind him of their duel and to provoke him. Don't worry, I remember, Leo calmly said. Kane suddenly started walking towards him. Leo stood his ground and didn't back away even when Kane was right in front of his face. I can't wait to break your bones and embarrass you in front of the entire academy. Leo smiled and said, and I can't wait to disappoint you. Keep up your act and enjoy your last week of peace, Leo. See you in a week, motherfucker. Kane turned around and walked away afterward. Leo took a deep breath before moving his legs again. Is it because of all that training I did with Chrome and Miss Camille? I can no longer feel any fear from Kane. His presence is simply too weak. Leo wondered to himself as he returned home to change out of his school uniform. Sometime later, he met up with Miss Camille in the parking lot where she usually parked her car. Once they left the school premise and were halfway to the Adventurers Guild, Leo wore the necklace that changed his appearance, turning into Leon. Can you tell me a little about the examination so that I can be more prepared? Leo suddenly asked. The examination is extremely easy, so I'm not even going to bother explaining it. If you cannot pass such an easy examination after all that training you did, I will immediately sever all relationships with you. Leo stared at her with wide eyes. I will pass the examination, even if I have to put my life on the line, he said in a nervous voice. Sometime later, they entered the Adventurers Guild. Leon, right? I have already prepared for your Adventurers examination. Please follow me. The desk worker brought Leo and Miss Camille to another room on the 4th floor. Upon entering the room, Leo could see an old man sitting at the table. However, this old man had an immensely bulky body. His muscles were so thick that it made his clothes look like they were a size too small. If it were not for his long white beard and wrinkled face, Leo would have mistaken him as a middle-aged bodybuilder. It's been a while, Camille. The old man greeted her with a gentle smile. Good morning, Guildmaster Boris. Miss Camille bowed her head slightly. So this is the boy that got you to step foot inside the Adventurers Guild again. I can tell at a glance that he's not an ordinary fellow. The old man that happened to be the guildmaster of the Adventurers Guild this particular place approached Leo with a sharp gaze. Leo swallowed nervously, feeling as though he was naked before this old man's gaze. Hello, I am Leon. Leon, huh? Why do you want to become an adventurer? Guildmaster Boris suddenly asked. Because I want to get stronger. That's it? What a simple answer. In fact, this is the exact same reason you gave me 15 years ago when I asked you. He glanced at Miss Camille. I didn't give him a script, if that's what you're wondering, she calmly said. Ha ha, I couldn't care less about that. Anyways, allow me to properly introduce myself. I am the guildmaster of this Adventurers Guild. Most people call me Guildmaster Boris, so you can do so as well. Furthermore, I will be overseeing your adventurer's examination today. Although this is normally done by someone else, I just had to take over after hearing that you're being sponsored by Camille over here. Why you won't make the exam harder than normal? Because you're the guild master, right? My life is on the line here. Leo asked him in a nervous voice. Of course not. I would never do such a thing as a guild master, he said with a profound smile on his face. Leo sighed in relief after hearing his words. Anyways, I have wasted enough of your time. Let's begin the exam. Guildmaster Boris led Leo to the center of the room, where a large square machine was located. This machine will test your magic talent. It goes from rank F to rank S. Place your hand on that crystal ball there. Leo followed the instruction and placed his hand on the crystal ball. Give me a moment. Guildmaster Boris went to press a couple of buttons. A few moments later, Leo could feel his mana being sucked by the machine. Your magic talent is S rank. Guildmaster Boris spoke in a surprised voice. Miss Camille, on the other hand, didn't seem surprised at all. In fact, her facial features barely moved. S rank. The magic system says that I have EX plus magic talent. This confirms that EX rank is above S rank, but just how much higher? Leo wondered to himself. Congratulations, you have S rank magic talent, though you probably already know that. To put into perspective how lucky you are, there are over 20 billion people in this world, but less than 10,000 people have S rank magic talent. Let's move on to your magic affinity now. Place your hand on the crystal ball again. Guildmaster Boris instructed. A few moments later, you have 2 magic affinities, dark and wind. Huh? Wind? Miss Camille raised her eyebrows. She was surprised this time, as she didn't expect Leo to have a second magic affinity. Your dark magic affinity is rank S, while your wind magic affinity is rank F. Rank F? That's probably why it didn't show up when I tested him. His dark magic affinity most likely had overshadowed it. Miss Camille thought to herself. All right, just one more test before we move on to the next part of the examination. Guildmaster Boris said, we're going to test your mana capacity right now, and that requires the machine to absorb almost all of your mana, so you'll experience mana fatigue from this. Don't worry, we'll give you a mana potion afterward. Whenever you're ready. I'm ready. Leo nodded. The next moment, Leo could feel the machine absorbing all of his mana at a rapid rate. Seconds later, Leo fell to his knees from experiencing mana fatigue. Here you go. Guildmaster Boris handed him a mana potion immediately afterward. While Leo waited for his mana to recover, Guildmaster Boris looked at the results. When he saw the result, Guildmaster Boris frowned. Your mana capacity is only slightly above 900? How is this possible? Even an average magician who has only studied magic for 1 to 2 years would have this much mana. This is outrageously low for someone of your talent. What have you been doing for your entire life? He actually started yelling at Leo, as he believed that Leo had wasted his magic talents. Most people start learning magic even before 10 years old. So when Leo, who is already 18 years old, only has 900 mana capacity, it could only mean one thing: that he barely studied magic. Anybody would be frustrated at Leo if they saw his mana capacity and his magic talent beside each other, much less the guildmaster of the Adventurers Guild. Damn it, I didn't think I could still be this agitated at my old age. You truly have a talent to piss me off, just like your sponsor. Calm down, Guildmaster Boris, Miss Camille said to him. Due to complications, Leon only started learning magic about 3 weeks ago. To increase his mana capacity in such a short time, it could be considered a miracle. What? 3 weeks? This makes me even more furious. Guildmaster Boris' face flushed with redness due to extreme frustration. After all, if Leo had started learning magic at the appropriate age, he could have been one of the strongest, if not the strongest magician in the country by now.
Hello, everyone. As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500+ novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.